I didn't realize how hungry I was. So I had to go make something real quick, but while I am munching, we will go ahead and start listening to this first video. And hopefully it's not too bad.
Hello, welcome back everyone. Now this video is something of a part 2 to my video on Pearl, sort of, though it can be watched independently of that, but it's in a similar theme. So initially it was all going to be one video, and you'll see why as I kind of get into it. But, you know, I realised I had too much to say and that I had some separate criticisms of this individual that were slightly different to Pearl, and also deserving of its own topic. So the reason this was going to be included under the same umbrella is because in both Pearl's case and this girl's case, what finally prompted me to the point of public criticism was their responses to everything that's going down with Andrew Tate. Though it's worth pointing out that I have serious criticisms of them that extend far beyond Randy Andy. But it's just that their response to him just highlighted the issues that I had. Again, this video is less jokey than some of my earlier ones. Despite my irritation, I could find a lot of humour and fun to be had in my videos on like Rolo and Vorsh. But with Pearl and now with this girl, I'm less amused and kind of out of patience, and thus not so interested in being entertaining. I say that, I'll probably find a few things to take the piss out of, but I'm actually really angry about it. I'm really angry. So yeah, I also think this may finally be it. I said I wanted to talk about the red pill stuff until I had no more to say, and at that point I felt I still had many more things to say at the time I said that. But now I hope that this may be my last video on the topic, at least in this highly critical format. So I can feel a yearning to move on to more positive things. That's definitely not to say that I regret or renounce anything. You know, I stand by what I've always said. Criticism is essential, and I think whoever said if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, is an ineffective soggy banana. I don't agree with that kind of motto. However, I am tired now of this particular cesspool of depression. I'd still like to talk about some of the same stuff, don't get me wrong, like femininity and stuff like that, but from a more creative and joyful angle. I say that, though we'll see where the river takes me. Perhaps I still have a critique of Fresh and Fit left in me at some point in the future. We'll see. There are so many jokes to be made about them. I mean, I've written half of it in my head. What do the muses have in store for me? Only the gods can know. But what I do know is that I'm tired. I'm tired now of being angry. And perhaps this little YouTube journey of mine has been an attempt to purge that anger. And I do feel it winding down now. I think it's working. That's good. I think I want it to be enough now. I hope so anyway. I am tired of this, and I want to be motivated by lighter things again. Joyful motivations last longer and don't burn out so quickly as angry ones, I find. And they're easier on the soul. That said, I'm not renouncing criticism. I still stand by that. It's important. It's necessary. It's essential. All of that being said, about potentially moving on, I feel I have one last thing to get off my chest before I can allow myself to lay down my arms. So let's see if this will finally bring my mind some peace and be the last thing I need to say so I can let it all go and move on. I mean, that's not to say I expect this to have any real effect, I kind of doubt that, but at least once it's said, I will feel better. Self-indulgent? Maybe, but it's my channel, so I do what I want. So I'm talking about anger. What is this anger? Why am I angry? What is this anger at, you may ask? Well, so at the representation, or rather the misrepresentation and degradation of femininity and by extension of women, initially coming from the left, you know, to be like a man is the only way to be strong, women give up your womanhood if you want to be taken seriously, and then a counter from the right, which I soon realised seemed to hold the same disdainful opinion of women and femininity, only in their view, rather than being seen as something women should revolt against and reject, as the left might argue. To them, they took for granted that women are by their nature weak and silly, though in their view, this is something women should embrace as their part in the natural order of things, secondary creations operating at the mental level of monkeys, incapable of rational thought because, you know, ovaries, and that we should grovel at the feet of men in overwhelming gratitude that they grudgingly share their world with us, undeserving, wicked, cold-blooded snakes as we are. And as payment for our general uselessness beyond the apparently pointless task of creating the next generation of human beings, we should happily and mindlessly make ourselves totally obedient and completely at their disposal and accept that our place is not truly as individual beings in our own right, but as secondary, as creatures created to accessorize a man's life, as shiny rewards for his achievements and to make his life more pleasant, expected to merely exist and obey, but never truly as autonomous persons in our own right. We're not people, you see. We're coins you can collect in a video game as payment for becoming powerful. That's all we're here for, waiting to get gathered up and bent to your will like dolls with wombs, with no trajectory or ambitions or dreams of our own in life other than to follow you and assist in yours. The spoils of the winners, with no say of our own, led solely as we are by hormones and an inability to think. Don't you dare tell me that that attitude doesn't exist. I'm not saying it's all red pillars. I'm not saying that at all. I know. I'm not saying that any more than I think that all feminists are man-haters, okay? But that attitude is there, and it is not insignificant. You see what you're doing to me, you red pill fucks. You're making me sound like a radical feminist. This brings us quite nicely to the topic of today's video. I would like to introduce you to one of the greatest offenders in pushing the latter attitude, whether intentionally or not. And we have a first for you today, ladies and gentlemen. We're taking a look at a fellow Englishwoman and proud advocate of not using her own brain, Leah Heilpern, also known as Andrew Tate's one-woman PR department.
Gentlemanly, been very nice, been very courteous. Personally, again, from my experience, cannot imagine that he would be capable of rape and human trafficking. These are obviously the charges. And it doesn't seem to be in his nature, and the charges seem to be very much out of character.
It warms the cockles of my cold, dead English heart. To give a brief overview, Leah previously seems to have been some sort of journalist with an expertise in cryptocurrency, and she also frequently interviewed a variety of very interesting guests. However, her channel really blew up when she interviewed Andrew Tate back a few months ago when he was, you know, kicking off. And because that worked for her, she apparently then decided to abandon her inquisitive nature and promising potential and make her whole channel an Andrew Tate fan channel to a degree that is so embarrassing. I don't know how she can continue to look at herself in the mirror every morning. But then, some people have no shame.
We've met in London, in Romania, we've done an interview in Miami.
If you boys ever wondered if girls can simp, just hop on over to Leah's channel for a clear demonstration to the affirmative. But who am I to knock it? Because it worked for her. She became very successful very quickly by making her unquestioning devotion to Randy Andy very clear. Her adoration so intense, I am honestly surprised she didn't get his face tattooed across her forehead, though who knows, there's still time. I'm getting woman who writes love letters to nutters in prison vibes. So Leah has been running cover for Andrew Tate for a very long time now, and it's all because they're such great friends, and she's furious at such an unfair miscarriage of justice that casts him in an unsavoury light. Ugh. On an unrelated note, an interesting phenomena of Leah's channel is that every video she does in support of Tate does astronomically well compared to most of her other videos, but calling her a one-trick pony whose career is reliant on her uncritical support of him would be a dreadfully cynical accusation, and I like to see the best in people. You know me. Finding a formula that works and then sticking to it no matter what is something that never happens on YouTube, and I believe Leah to be above such ulterior motives. Numbers like these are what true loyalty looks like. So when she's taking time off from being Andrew Tate's personal PR woman, something else Leah likes to do as a fun little side gig is talk a lot about, you know, femininity and the place of women and, you know, what that means and stuff. And I would just like to say, and make it very clear before we get into this, that nothing at all about what she has to say comes across as out of touch, pampered, or ignorant. No. You know, clearly this is a very grounded and sensible young lady, awake to the truth of life's hardships for most ordinary women. She's also got a really interesting analysis and re-evaluation of women's history. It's fascinating stuff. So, you know, I know you thought that history was humanity's story of collective contributions with men and women as partners, often with different purposes, yet both equally important in creating and maintaining society and human life, each striving and suffering and supporting the other to survive, the archetypal sacrifice in my mind being war for men and childbirth for women, each with their own dangers and pains and necessary courage that is unavoidable in a human life, no matter which sex you were born as. Yes, that is what we call the wrong view of history. I mean, gosh, how terribly embarrassing for you. No. That is a common misconception brought into by followers of the gynocentric world order, you retarded pleb. But the reality about men and women is far simpler, and it speaks to a greater truth about the unworthiness and uselessness of women, and why we should be grateful we're even tolerated in the world, because the harsh #red pill truth is that men strive and suffer and support society, while women...
In the beginning,
women stay at
legends
home,
of flying men soared.
relaxing.
Men go out every day. They sacrifice spending time with their children. They sacrifice living a peaceful, relaxing life so that they can go out and provide for their family, so their wife can stay home and relax. Women, they're resenting men for wanting to provide for the family. It's truly unbelievable, and women are trying to compete with men, and it's so unnecessary.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's stuff like this that takes the red pill for me from something that's like, oh, here's some general unfortunate truths or uncomfortable truths about men and women. Here's how best to succeed in dating. Here's biological reality, blah, blah, blah. Goes from that to women have it easy and they're totally useless propaganda. With this narrative that women float about in a cloud of privilege. And so to pay for our crime of being born into this life of ease, our penance should be obedience. And that all of us, regardless of personality, talent or ambition, should not aim above our place in the world and be so arrogant to think that we could find fulfillment outside of the home.
Being a boss bitch is gonna make you happy. It's not true. A boss bitch is not gonna make you happy. And what will make a woman happy is having a family, serving her husband, raising the next generation, and that's beautiful. And I don't understand why this is something which society has to reject.
After all, you know, as Leia presents, being a stay-at-home mother, it's very easy. It's perfectly suited to the weak, feeble, easily overstimulated female temperament, and it involves absolutely no work or chores.
So their wife can stay home and relax.
I have heard mothers say that. Yes, you know, I think that is actually the number one thing that mothers say. Gosh, since I had children, my life just became so much more relaxing. There was just more me time. I'm so happy that men do literally all of the work in society and make it possible for me to play Dolly Tea Party with my children all day.
Women are delicate, women are emotional, women need help, whether it's emotional support, whether it's physical support, you know, we need attention, and all of these things, I agree with him. He said that women are difficult to travel with, and I understand that. You know, we get hungry, and if we're not fed, we get hangry. So I understand when he says women are children.
I'm going to say this one time. Wives are not children. And you red pill guys can't complain about women not being responsible or accountable and how all of the pressure is on men, and then also turn around and advocate for wives being infantilized and treated like children and being stripped of all the responsibility. That is an inconsistent worldview, and it is also incorrect. Raising children is not sitting at home playing with fucking crayons. I don't think half of you parroting that idea actually have kids. It is bloody hard, and it is a massive responsibility with so much pressure, and if you do...
I think the current plan was to kill Egypt, and then we'll sail across the west after we take St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg and Madrid.
a shit job, a whole entire person suffers, and then by extension society, and that is on you. So as for what Leia said there, look, there is nothing wrong with valuing men or what men do for society. In fact, that is a good thing, and we should do that. This is where I agree with Red Pill stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm on board with this, cool. We should be placing a higher value on men's role, absolutely, I agree with you there. Men are important and shouldn't be devalued. But this? There were a few traditional women in the comments of this video that I saw, stay-at-home mothers, who thought it was damn cheeky for a young unmarried lass who was not a mother to describe their lives as at home relaxing, while their husband does everything that's actually important. You think a traditional wife stays at home and relaxes, Leia? Looking after young children and running a household and cooking and cleaning and maybe caring for other relatives who can't care for themselves? Relaxing? I hope you've got a multi-millionaire lined up, love, and you can afford to hire a cleaner, a cook and a babysitter when you have a family of your own, because I'll tell you now, that is not traditional women. That sounds like it's just you told on yourself. She's a mainstream red pill advocate for traditional women, and she's totally ignorant about what that means. Being a stay-at-home mother also, by the way, unlike a 9-to-5 job, it doesn't stop. No, but it's just relaxing. The fact that it's at home doesn't mean it's relaxing and it's not work. All that means is that it's all the time that you're doing it. That's what that means if it's in your home. Jesus. So I brought this up. I thought she'd be a good person to bring this up to. I asked my mother about this, and she's a good person to ask because she's done both. She's done the very high-powered business thing and the raising children thing. And in her view, the raising 4 children thing was less relaxing by quite a long way than the running her own business thing. She laughed in my face, Leia, when I asked her that question, and said she used to go into work to have a rest. My dad says the same thing. I mean, to be fair, maybe me and my siblings were just terrible. That is possible. We once scared off a deeply religious babysitter because she thought we were possessed. That is genuinely true. She told us God would punish us with eternal damnation, and then started crying when my sister danced in front of her, chanting, "I'm going to hell, I'm going to hell." I'm not sure how relaxing it was. We probably gave the poor lass a nervous breakdown. She probably had to go and get an exorcism after that. Anyway, look, I just hate this attitude that women don't do anything but chill and get their hair done while men are slaving away in fucking Mordor. It's so insulting. And it's also ridiculous, the disconnection from reality, my god. Also, the thing with this, like what Leia said, that just really bothers me. It really rubs me the wrong way. Look, and she's English as well. Leia, most mothers in the UK work. Most. I've heard one figure put it at over 70%. I don't want to misremember that. I feel like it was the Office of National Statistics or something, and it was over 75%. So it's like actually really high. So, and most do it, not because they're selfish career women, but because it's an economic necessity. I mean, my mum's always worked, and she's done it partly because she's highly creative and highly ambitious, and you know, she loves doing that. She loves working in business. But also, it's an economic necessity with 4 children. They wouldn't have been able to do it with just my dad working. So women are doing that. They are raising children and running a household, and they are working, and they're trying to juggle that. And also women still bear most of the burden for keeping house and childcare and caring for elderly relatives, by the way. But they're doing stuff. They're doing stuff is my point. Mothers are doing stuff. Mothers are stressed, and they're busy, and they're working all the time, and they're juggling shit. And then you come along, Leia, and imply that most women are living the high life while men are doing all the work, and that these modern women don't appreciate it and don't care about men, and but like, it's more. This is the thing with the red pill. Like, they're right on some of the problems with like gender dynamics, and they're probably right that, you know, men should be appreciated more. But part of it isn't just that women hate men and women are like I think probably deeper societal issues, as in, well, maybe a lot of women don't feel like they have time to be appreciative, and it's just yeah, again, oversimplified rubbish. And it's just more complicated than either men are evil and lazy and entitled, or women are evil and lazy and entitled. I think there's deeper kind of stuff to figure out, and it's just not helping anything. It's oversimplifying everything and just being like, oh, women don't care about men. Like, that's not the reality. And you, by the way, you do the women that you claim to support a disservice when you say things like that. I just want you to know.
So their wife can stay home and relax.
Hi, I'll just add, because I'm not sure how well I was phrasing that, but my point is, what irritates me about that video of Leia's is that describing women wanting to compete with men and that it's so unnecessary. That's kind of what got to me, that, like, I mean, actually it is necessary for a lot of people. I don't understand, why are these women so silly going out getting jobs? All these women going out and getting jobs and earning money. How silly, don't they know they could be at home relaxing? Like, I mean, oh, maybe that was just caught Leia on a bad day there, but like, could it be any more embarrassingly out of touch? I'm sorry. Come on, this just sounds ridiculous. It's like modern day Marie Antoinette, Leia. I don't.
What the heck? Why is this woman going in on another woman? Don't they have to stick together? Because life is so much more difficult for them and everything. What is this breaking of the ranks? This doesn't seem to be towing the party line. Big disgrace. I do not condone.
I don't know how she even got it, because I've come across loads of her stuff and I've heard her talk in the past. I don't even think she is from like a well-off background necessarily. I don't know, maybe she is, but from what she said, I don't think. So I don't understand how she got here. I went to school with rich kids. I went to school with loads of rich kids, and none of them had, like, hardly any of them had this attitude. I don't know how she's ended up with this. This is insane.
Look at her feet.
It's the attitude of, oh, these
feet's
silly women, don't they know that if they just didn't work, they could be at home relaxing? Like, what are you talking? Like, this is the thing. It's like, even first of all, maybe I'm sure a lot of women would love to do that if they could afford to. The overall narrative that she's helping push, that women are just like out here boss bitching everywhere, not caring about men. It's like, okay, that's such an oversimplification, and it's so stupid, and it's so like does such a disservice to the actual problems and like solving issues between men and women. Like, it's just, I just hate it. This just comes across as very out of touch and pampered, and dare I say, spoiled. And it is not doing anything to remove the stigma of being a stay-at-home mother.
A lot of TV shows portray the feminine girl as weak and pathetic. And so I never wanted to be the feminine girl as a kid. Like, I was obsessed with wrestling, you know, I've got brothers, so, you know, I was always like that. But the girl that wears pink and she wears glitter, she's always like falling over, and the guys don't like her, and she's really stupid and she's not cool, you know. The girl that's celebrated in the movies is the tomboy. They love her, the one that's playing football, she's one of the lads, and so naturally you start to become that.
You want to know why being a traditional woman is sneered
I
at?
understand friendship.
This misrepresentation of it.
So their wife can stay home and relax.
Stuff like this shit. You're part of the problem. You are an insult to actual traditional women. You are making a mockery out of them. And then you turn around and wonder why women are embarrassed to be traditionally feminine. We'll have to get Sherlock on the case because this is a fucking mystery layer. Relaxing at home. Christ almighty. This is just a virtue signal at men. Can I just say, by the way, this is absolutely virtue signalling, but for red pillars. 100%. I don't know how this isn't super transparent. It's not even remotely subtle. If you're going to make a play at stroking the male ego, be more intelligent about it, please. Then I could at least respect the art form, even if I took issue with the method. I say that, this is working. Boys, you're making me lose faith in you. It's working. It's so easy. Stop it easy. Can I just say, and other people have pointed this out in my comments, but the irony is that so many red pill dudes are the biggest simps. It is so funny. With them, you just have to tell them what they want to hear and they go fucking nuts. Just look at our comment section.
So you guys, I understand that the true place of a woman is to be submissive and obedient. That's all I'm looking for. Yes, technically I do have a high-flying career right now, but if I tell you that all I do is stay at home and cook and that it's really easy, will you believe me? Life is so hard for you, and I hope you know I really appreciate that you keep me in handbags while I fulfill your every whim. All these crazy feminists don't know their place, but I know my place, and it's been
Holy Christ, I fucking hate this voice. She needs to fucking stop. What the heck?
beneath you in more ways than one.
You know what? This will make me lose faith in men's intelligence more than any feminist argument. Seriously. Stop. And you want
Make
me
it
to believe that you guys are
stop.
logical, okay? All the... Sorry. But
Oh
all,
shit, we
all that
can
needs to happen is a pretty
one-shot
face comes
this
along
guy?
and tells you what you want to hear. And I mean... I'm not saying that's men over... Look, human beings are like that. But just then you act like women are the ones who like fall for stuff or can be propagandized more easily or whatever. And I'm sorry, but no, you're not. It's not true. You're not demonstrating that. I lose a simp every time I criticize the red pill. It's fucking tragic. No, just kidding. This channel doesn't have simps, okay? This channel has fellow intellectuals. If anyone accuses you of being a simp here, you spit in their face and you say, no, I am a man of culture with an appreciation for stockings. We are veterans of the Battle of the Woodshed and we denounce the simps. We celebrate every time we lose a simp, we cheer and say bye. Our troops have sustained great losses, but we shall go on till the end.
We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills, we shall never surrender.
Cheeky bit of Churchill. Sexy slice of Winston for you there. Bet he wasn't a simp. I'm sorry, that went off the rails. What was I saying? Shameless pandering to men. Yeah. See, I pander to men with more quotes. Top tier pandering.
That's what I do too. That's why I play Civ and Total Whore and Knights and Merchants. It's the meme about the war girls who like to... Oh my god, it's this fucking face. What the heck? This is a great frame to pause on. Go ahead and take a screenshot of that. It's pre-based. Gotta be the tactical girl. Fulfill the memes.
Yeah, top tip pandering. Tapping into that 12-year-old boy part of the male brain. See what I did there? Bet you boys like battle, don't you? Bet you do. Bet you like swords and guns. Oh, and superheroes and explosions
See?
and action
Look.
man. So cool.
She's stealing my fucking... It's all up in my grill. What the heck?
Like Andrew Tate's war room. Oh, so manly. It's not a marketing trick or anything. Because, men can't be manipulated. We do know that. Only women are susceptible to mind fuckery. Source.
Yes, only
Andrew
women.
Tate said so because men fight more and thus are more capable of independent thought.
I said this in another podcast. I believe that men are more capable of independent thought because I believe that men are more evolved for battle and war. So if we had an idea which nobody else agreed with, we're more capable of defending it.
Obviously, you can make that obvious connection because I just think, yes, the army, a well-known breeding ground for free-thinking individuals where it's definitely not an advantage to be able to follow orders and act as a unit. No, I hear that disobedience, self-expression and questioning authority are really valued in the army. Oh, what an ironclad argument. He's so clever. Oh, Andrew, you're so clever. Andrew, oh my god, Tate, you're so fucking smart. So attractive. And that's why, from an evolutionary perspective, men are just smarter and more able to resist mind control. And that's Tate science. Tate science. It's like real science, except you
Very
made it all up.
true.
Can I just say on top of that, surely then logically that
Entirely true, because men have big brains, therefore they are always correct. Easy peasy.
follows that the stronger a man is, the more capable of independent thought he would be. That's not true at all. Like, that's. I mean, there's a reason why people say brains or brawn. Like, I'm not saying every big guy's an idiot. I'm not saying that at all. But it's definitely not true that the stronger you are or the more capable you are of defending yourself, the more independently you think. That is actually hilarious. That's not true in any way. Oh my god. That's so funny. Sorry, I got distracted again. Where was I? Oh yes, pandering to men, which Andrew Tate, for one, has definitely never done for personal gain. Ever. Ever. No. Leia doesn't do it either.
And I do it, but I only do it with war, so it's okay.
Is it fair to say that for is it fair to say that for red pill dudes who pamper to men, is that kind of gay? You're like sort of simping and sucking off your audience's dick so they can in turn simp for you, telling them what they want to hear. You're submitting yourself to someone else's point of view and reaffirming what they already believe. I will have to conduct further research into this concept.
So here we go. Here's the thing. Here's this topic here. And I feel like I have to go into this topic. I greatly dislike the term pick me because I think it's unfairly levelled at girls who are more feminine or more traditional, or who recognise sex differences, or who are sympathetic to men's issues, or who just like disagree with some of the narratives. You know, like I've been called a pick me and also told I want to be sexually harassed. Woo! Which is obviously true. You know, so I don't like the term. But it would be foolish to pretend that in some instances, sexual competition doesn't play a part in female behaviour. And the more I see of red pill women, the more I can see why people accuse you guys of this. Just, like, to be honest.
I get called a pick-me girl a lot. I don't really care. I'm not. I don't really need to be. I saw yesterday Myron on Fresh and Fit talking about being a pick-me. He made a really interesting point. He was like, yeah, women should be pick-me's. And I was like, damn, yeah, you're right, because there's just not enough men. Right. So you should be a pick-me. If you're a young girl and you want to fight and you want to secure yourself a high-value man, be a pick-me. Show him that you are here, you are ready, and you like him, and get on with it.
So this was going to be a part that I included in the Pearl video on the section on female competition and disguised as concern for men. Which is also why that video on Pearl is called Red Pill Women Are Trashy and Childish, because initially there were going to be more Red Pill women I was talking about, but she's got her own separate video now, so anyway. But yeah, this is going to be in that part. Female competition disguised as concern for men. But obviously this is a separate video. But my main point still stands. Like, I'm sorry, but so much of this behaviour just seems to be a performance to show themselves off in comparison to other women and present themselves as the better option. Or like, shamelessly pander to men in a really virtue-signaling cringy way like she did earlier. Look. Yeah, just a performance to show themselves off in comparison to other women and present themselves as the better option. And yes, that is a different thing than being sympathetic to what men want, okay? Yeah, it seems to be less about the truth or good content and more about look at me, look at my femininity and desirability in comparison to these modern women. And I find it incredibly transparent and just a bit childish and insecure. I mean, they even say that's what they're doing.
Women are so competitive. That's also something that I noticed. I didn't know that women were competitive like this. So I'm seeing all these women, we're all between the ages of like 20 to 30, and everybody's like going after the same man. Yeah, it's so competitive. You need to up your game, you need to look hotter, you need to hit the gym, you need to be all these sorts of things. So I think you should be a pick-me if you're trying to secure a good man.
Okay, let's talk about terms, because I've seen a lot of red pill women like embracing the term pick me, like, oh yeah, but that's right, I'm a pick me because I want to get picked. What's wrong with that? Okay, look. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I just like the phrasing, it's kind of cringy, but whatever. There's nothing wrong with that, you know, in theory. But being a pick me doesn't mean that you want to make yourself appealing to men. That's not what it means. Some people use it to mean that, but that's not what it means or what it should mean. A pick-me means you tear down other women to present yourself as the better option. Being a pick-me is not healthy competition based on your own merit. It's guerrilla warfare based on how effectively you can sabotage your opponents. This is what this means, okay? So it has nothing to do with your own good qualities and femininity, and everything to do with making clear all of the reasons why all of the other girls shouldn't be picked. Right? So it's equal to a political race, where you contrast yourself with how flawed your opponent is and try to discredit them, as opposed to a sports competition where it's based solely on how well you perform and how you know, the better woman wins. That's those two differences. So do I think competition or wanting to present yourself as like, yeah, I want to appeal to men. I want it, like, do I think that's inherently wrong? No, I don't. But I would like to make that distinction. Pick me refers to it's about underhand sabotaging the opponents, tearing down the opponents as a strategy, rather than just focusing on yourself, on your own merits and your own benefits. In general terms, like, that's what that means. And also, people say, look, that doesn't mean that every time you criticise another woman, that's what you're doing. People then use that unfairly and out of line when that's not what I'm saying. And I think I use it more specifically when people are generalising about groups of women, like about women or doing it in general, seems to be more likely that's what they're doing, as opposed to criticising individuals, because that's yeah. You can criticise individuals, but, you know. So, you know, so this video that Leia just said, so women ultra competitive, yeah, okay. So can women be ultra competitive? Of course. Every woman knows how vicious and competitive and brutally unmerciful girls can be. That's not a shock. I don't know why you found it a shock, Leia. But is that what we are? Is that how we should view each other as?
It's almost like she doesn't actually even know any women's. I've never seen a competitive woman. Nuh-uh, not me.
competition first and companions second. There's an emerging attitude in red pill spaces that women don't know loyalty and can't truly be friends. It's insidious. You know, in the same way that men are capable of killing each other and also of deep, unbreakable loyalty, dipshits. The same is true for women. Sometimes it's brutal and cutthroat, and sometimes it's selfless and self-sacrificing. What I really don't like is that phrase, don't try to understand women. Women understand women and they fucking hate each other, or whatever that is. I understand there's like a level of truth to that. No, I would say that's not true at all. It's not that women dislike other women. It's that women understand other women.
Oh, fuck.
And some women don't like other women. But I think most women do like other women. But I think where that phrase comes from is that also women are good at reading other women better than men are. So it's not that they just dislike a girl for no reason. Some women do because it's jealousy, or that's true. Or it could just be. I know what she's like. Yeah. Anyway, so but does that mean that like women can never be friends? And no, of course not. Like, it's really deeply irritating. I understand women very well. I've got sisters. I've got loads of female friends. I'm a girl's girl. I love hanging out with other women. Yeah. And I really like women. Some, not all women.
Yeah, so do I. Same. Yeah.
Some women I don't like, obviously. Some men I don't like, but I like women in general, yeah. There are female friendships that I've had for years that I value so highly. And of course, human instincts are unavoidable, and sometimes there will be that undercurrent between women, of course. But promoting a hyper-competitiveness as something we should do to get chosen, I really dislike that. Female friendships can be such a wonderful, powerful thing with really strong loyalties, lifelong loyalties. And I just think this attitude degrades that and makes it seem like an underhand bitchiness or sabotage or always pushing yourself forward as better than them is acceptable, as long as it's towards the purpose of nailing down a good man. And that's a shame. Yeah, like some groups of women are like this, I agree, because some people are shitty, like, but others aren't. And you don't have to go into the world with this dog-eat-dog mentality. And here's the other thing as well. I think that most women can very clearly sense if another woman views us as a competitor. Women know that. We know if we meet another woman, okay, we know what the game, we know it. If we meet another woman, she views us as a competitor. We even have a word for it. That's called a frenemy, and it's an unhealthy female dynamic. It's also one that we should grow out of, right? I haven't had a frenemy probably since I was about 19. I don't hang out with girls who treat me as competition over treating me like a friend. I can't be bothered with bitching, it's a waste of time. And anyone who's not a teenager
Yeah, basically, yeah.
anymore should also be over it, I think, really.
Yes, basically, it's very accurate. People who don't grow up beyond high school, they still have this high school mentality. Very childish. It is not a particularly attractive personality or trait. It's not particularly becoming of adults in their 20s or 30s.
Like, my friends are all bloody lovely. They wouldn't be my friends otherwise. And it's remarkable. We've been friends since we were, like, the group of girls I'm thinking of, like, friends since we were, like, 13. And even through all our teenage years, of all the hormones and the boys and everything, remarkably few arguments. Like, really remarkably, like, lack of bitchiness. Just, like, honestly, and we lived together as well for a good few years at that time. Like, really, like, high tension. And with, like, my best friend, I can think of one time in over a decade, way over a decade, that we argued or were, like, pissed off at each other. And it's just not always the case, you know? And that was when we were, like, 15, we had an argument, and it was over something really stupid, and then we were over it in a few days, like... Like, look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to better yourself or in making yourself appealing to men. There's not, but I do think there's something wrong in pitting yourself against all of these other women with a win-win-win. They are my competition and I am the best, and it's fine to prove myself the best no matter what to secure a good man. Like, yeah, I don't think that's a behaviour to be praised. I'm sorry. This is a massive problem I have with the red pill that I've mentioned several times. It's like they reduce people to their most base animal instincts and ignore that that is not the whole of a human being. And they also justify being able to behave badly. This is what red pill does, and they do this. They justify being able to behave badly if it gives you a competitive...
Unlucky there is no spot up here in the north where I can have a staging ground. I'm gonna have to assault and wait a turn from the water tiles. Fuck. Hopefully they don't have a bunch of defensive dudes, but I don't think they will.
Competitive advantage in the dating market.
We'll see.
And they see every human interaction as having a winner and a loser, and everyone's obsessed with how much status everyone else has, and it's a little bit gross and materialistic, and also feels like we're back at school. This isn't the fucking wild. Can we just chill out a bit and stop playing wolves, right? We're human beings. We're a little more complex than that. I had a really funny conversation with my friend, and he was like, it's star signs, isn't it? It's star signs for men. Star signs for men, all this alpha, omega, male. But here's the thing, yes, we have a lower nature, but we also have a higher nature. And I think the red pill school of thought underestimates the power of loyalty or compassion or morality or, goddammit, love. It does, it constantly underestimates those things. And, you know, if you want to talk about the matrix and what keeps people imprisoned, it's the lower instincts that keep people enslaved, not the higher ones. The red pill movement is currently offering the poison as the antidote. Like, I said it before and I'll say it again. I think a lot of this is just brutal female competition. They themselves are telling you it is. How do I get picked? I mean, I hate that phrase. How do I get picked? It makes my neck retract into my body like a turtle.
How do I get picked?
Stop it. It's embarrassing. How do I get... Stop. Yeah, pick me. How do I get picked? Stop it now. Have dignity. Look, and unfortunately, how do I get picked? In some cases...
What? Have dignity? That's too hard. I don't think people wanna... I feel like we don't value dignity all that much anymore, unfortunately. I think even people who like to pretend that they are very dignified people, it's too easy for them to fall into the trap of making themselves cringe and allowing less dignified people dictate their behavior, dictate the terms of behavior. And yeah, I don't know, it's strange. Hello, how are you?
Cases that involves crippling the competition and shameless pandering to men. Nothing wrong with healthy competition. With, as I said, like a sports competition and may the best woman win, that kind of thing. But women probably are more prone to political race of sabotage. But that doesn't mean it's a good thing, okay? Like and pandering to men. It's stop it. It's embarrassing. It makes me it's yucky. It's really gross. I do think a fair comparison can be made between some of these girls and then the male feminists who have this self-flagellation attitude of men are terrible, we're the worst. It must be so hard for you having to deal with men. I hate men. What do you want to hear? I'll tell you what you want. Just please get it.
Broken? What the heck? How's it broken? What? Are you sure? Uh-oh, that's no good. Really, really strange. There's no sound and it's 1 frame per second. That sounds pretty spooky. Let's see if I can troubleshoot this. Thanks for letting me know.
Into bed with me. Like the women are kind of doing that, except they're doing it for a ring, rather than sex. I mean, look, I find a lot of it really distasteful, like lowering women's role right down or describing it as relaxing to blatantly appeal to a male audience for the purpose of making themselves more attractive, as they themselves have said, and it is just pandering. I think it's disrespectful to pander to people, okay? I do. I think it's slimy and dishonest. If you respect someone, you don't grovel or pander to them. You give them honesty. And I don't find this respectful of either men or women. I think it's a self-serving instinct. Interestingly, this was this morning, and it really aligns with what I've just said there. Scrolling on the social media things this morning, and they came across a quote by Thomas Sowell, and it's one of those like quotes with like picture of him with the quote over the top. And I say this, I haven't checked this out. I just saw this morning by chance, and I'm going to probably say it, and now it's going to be like actually that he didn't say that, and it was like a quote from High School Musical or something. Also, like Jake Paul once said. So maybe it's not, but it was inappropriate. But this was in the picture quote. I haven't checked this, but it was Thomas Sowell apparently said, "If you want to help others, you tell them the truth. If you want to help yourself, you tell them what they want to hear." It was something like that. I can't remember exactly. Something like that. If you want to help others, you tell them the truth. If you want to help yourself, you tell them what they want to hear. And that, I mean, actually, weird coincidence, because yeah, that's basically kind of what I was trying to express.
Seems
Pandering
fine
is
on
just
my end.
gross, but it's gross.
Not sure if either I'm not getting that issue or it might just be on your end. I'm not sure how else I would check other than to watch the stream on my phone, which it looks like it's fine. It looks like it's 60 frames per second and I can hear the audio perfectly fine. So I'm not sure. You might have to like refresh or something, or check your browser, see if it's up to date. Other than that, I'm not really sure what the issue could possibly be.
Stop it. I really want a movement around femininity that's about the value in femininity, that's about bettering women and helping women to better themselves, and not just hitching onto the red pill and the manosphere and viewing all other women as competition and telling men what we think they want to hear just so we can get ahead in the dating world. We don't need to make women look bad in order to let men know that we value them, okay? That's what the worst male feminist does, and it's gross and dishonest, and none of us should be engaging in it. We are better than that, girls. Can we just all, and boys, can we please all just stop crawling around each other and just treat each other decently and respectfully and truthfully without crawling up anyone's backside? I think we need a separate movement around femininity that's separate to the red pill and the manosphere. That's not, I don't think we should be hitching onto that. I think a lot of the men actually would probably agree with that, even the ones who are like in that world. And I'd like to be talking about more of that stuff in the future, but anyway, that's that for now. But also, that doesn't mean don't criticize or mock, right? I'm not saying to be nice. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't criticize or mock. I would never say that. I'm a critic, right? Mockery can also be appropriate sometimes. We can criticize women, and we can criticize men, and we can criticize individuals, and we can criticize cultural trends, but this collective thing of degrading either sex as a whole, this is what I'm talking about, it's so shameful and disgusting, especially when it seems suspiciously like there's a self-serving motive there. So the wider point I'm making, I just kind of like to really emphasize what it is.
I don't know if this will be enough to fight Egypt, but I see that their military strength is only at 50. I am at basically 1,000, so I don't know what they have in store over here for me, but I don't think it's really all that much. I think I'll go ahead and risk it with just these four boys. I suspect, however, that they will not be able to put up much of a fight. So, oh fuck. We already are denounced, so next year we can declare war. No biggie. I am fairly confident that this will work out pretty well.
It's exactly that I'm kind of trying to say. So is there anything wrong with being a pick-me in the sense of wanting to present yourself well to men and to be attractive to men and to be feminine? Is there anything inherently wrong with that? No, there's not. Is there anything wrong with going out and seeing like pretty much like loads of other women as your competition? Depends how you're doing it. I'd say there can potentially be problems with that. Okay, but all of that to the side. But do we come to problems if you are a cultural commentator, if you're an online figure? Like admitting to saying how you want to present yourself as the best possible version above all other women, which isn't in itself a bad thing. If you like mainstream cultural voice, if you're mainly talking about gender dynamics, do we think that there could be a conflict of interest there in terms of wanting to tell the truth and get like really delve into these, and you know what I mean, and then just wanting to present yourself well? Is there a conflict of interest there, and how much are you allowing that? So is there anything wrong with going, hey, I'm a pick-me, I want men to know I value them? Okay, no, not really anything wrong with that, depending on how you do it. But is there anything wrong with that if your job is commentating online and you're not holding yourself accountable all the time, and you don't see anything wrong with that, with being a pick-me in that sense? If you're not questioning yourself all the time and holding and do you understand what I'm trying to get at? I feel like I'm not phrasing this well, but the point is, if you're going, there's nothing wrong with what I'm doing, there's nothing wrong with being a pick-me. Okay, maybe true in your personal life, but if you carry that same attitude into your professional life, where you're supposed to be commenting on gender dynamics, if you're like a social thing, or if you're talking about that, about femininity and women, then actually it is a problem. Actually, yes, it is a problem. It is a problem if you think that if you have the attitude that there's nothing wrong with being sexually competitive with other women, even in the sphere you're working in, when you're talking about that is actually a problem, because you should be constantly, and that's not to say that everyone, of course, all these unconscious things are going to play into people. I'm not saying like I'm immune to that either or anything, but the point is you shouldn't be so happy to just let that happen. You should be holding yourself accountable and questioning your unconscious motivations and rather than just accepting and going, well, it's totally fine I'm doing this. No, I don't think it is actually in a professional sense, especially if you're doing.
Okay, I think this Peter Russia fight might be a bit more difficult. They have 160 combat strength. So I'm probably going to need another couple. I guess I'll have to bring this guy as well. Oh, I just got this bombard as well. Okay, so maybe I'll wait for this guy before we declare war on the Russians.
Doing what you're doing, you need to be telling the truth. The truth needs to come before that. So you need to be questioning yourself and not just being fine with letting those drives come to the fore. Well, it's totally okay, because anything's okay in the sexual marketplace of competing. No, it's not. Not if your job is telling the truth and wanting to improve society. Like, I'm sorry, then you've got to question yourself and go, am I, like, I need to take this away from this now and make good content and tell the, do you see what I mean? That's actually the core of why I think I'm annoyed at this. So we're not talking about any girl, who's just saying, well, I want to present myself as well. That's, I think, why my main criticisms with Leia and these women in these spaces come from. That's why I think I'm annoyed by them kind of openly going, well, I'm a pick-me and that's totally fine. It's like, okay, maybe in your personal life, but if this is what you're doing professionally, then actually no, it is a problem. And you need to be questioning and going, okay, but not when it comes to the truth. Point being, if you're admitting to wanting to get men to like you as a primary conscious driving force of your behaviour, unconscious aims are very different. That's something we should constantly be questioning, really, if you're wanting to tell the truth. But if the point that you're consciously accepting those aims as a primary driving force, that's bad. That's really bad. You've really gone far off the road there. I think really that's not acceptable. Your primary conscious aim, I know unconscious we can't always control, but your primary conscious aim in this sphere should be what is true. It is the most important thing, far more so than our own wants. You know, I thought personal drives over truth was what, you know, you guys hated the leftists for. We won't always live up to that, to putting what is true over how can I best present myself, but Christ, can we at least try and not consciously embrace this of how can I best show myself, you know, this is fine, that how can I best show myself of appealing to men over how can I get to the truth? Can we at least not consciously do that? I understand unconsciously we might sometimes fail, but can we at least not accept that consciously as acceptable, please, in this realm? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I'm just seeing like conflict of interest. I hope that makes sense.
Thinking is masculine.
So I think Leia is actually, do I want to be mean or do I want to say this nicely? I think she's arrogant and has a habit of speaking for all women because, I don't know, all about her. I mean, like, that's harsh, but if you're going to do shit like this, I don't know how else you want me to describe it, Leia?
What percentage of women hate Andrew Tate?
It's a great question. Oh my God. I feel like we have to, most women lie, right? Like most women have no idea about what they're talking about and they don't understand their emotions. So I'd say like 90% of women say they hate Andrew Tate, but I would actually say 100% of women are looking for a man like Andrew Tate. That's the reality.
Do not speak for me. How dare you think you can speak for me? This is why I get annoyed with you, Leia. You claim to speak for all women and you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Most women lie, right? Like most women have no idea about what they're talking about and they don't understand their emotions. So
I dislike Andrew Tate. I can break down for you in detail why I dislike Andrew Tate. In fact, I've already done so a couple of times, so no, I'm not a crazy woman who just doesn't know what she's saying. I've just been washed away by like mainstream narratives and stuff because I'm just like hormonal. And in terms of wanting a man like him, if I have to say it again, I will. I find Tate creepy, effeminate, and unattractive. I don't want a man like him. I think he's morally bankrupt, hypocritical, easily offended, delusional, over-emotional, and childish, and he makes my skin crawl. You want to fuck Andrew, Leia. Yes, we all know. Trust me, darling, we know. It's literally your entire personality. But you are not all of us. We don't share a mind, thank Christ for that. We don't share emotions, and we certainly don't share the same taste in men. So I'd appreciate it if you could restrain yourself from projecting your character traits and inability to detect sleaziness onto all women, and not speak for 100% of us, because somehow you know we're all lying. Cheeky bitch. I don't remember the meeting where we nominated you spokeswoman. That was probably the day I was off sick after an overdose of your content. This isn't the only time that Leia has been entitled enough to decide that she represents every woman in the world.
Where this has just popped into my head, where I want my girlfriend, who I love, to be a Catwoman, but she doesn't. She wants to pursue a career or something like that.
Then find a different woman. Very simple.
or go for it. If you want to be a stay-at-home husband and she can provide for you, then like so be it. Do whatever suits you. But the reality is eventually she's not going to be attracted to you as a stay-at-home husband. That's just the reality. But if you want to do it, like do it.
Sorry, Leia. Do you know his girlfriend? Have you sat down and had a nice girl chat about what she finds attractive and stuff? Yeah, because that's the only reason I could think.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was scared it was me. But yeah, everything seemed fine on my end. Glad you fixed it. How are you?
Of why you'd make such a bold statement. You have a terrible habit of speaking for all other women like you're the authority. How dare you suggest that? Now, you could make a generalisation. You could make a generalisation and say that most women will be less attracted. And I believe there's even actually data to back that up. Okay, like, that's fine. You can make a we can talk about that then. You can have a discussion, but, you know, is that... That's fine, you know? But, like, not every woman will. Generalisations, the point, they're general. There are always exceptions and not even just exceptions, but, like, often a lot of outliers, okay? Like, it's just not true. It's just not true that you just know this will happen. You know, and worse, again, not only are you not speaking in a generalisation, but, like, you're speaking for a specific woman right now. You've got no idea what she's into. Maybe a man washing up turns her on. Who knows? You're arrogant.
Well, I think a lot of the reasons why is that women will judge an entire person on a 30-second TikTok clip, right? So you'll just rush to judgment on anyone, seeing one clip. Oh, boom.
I think it is a huge issue not only to judge an entire person based off of a 30-second TikTok, but to use TikTok at all. I think it's pretty simple. That a TikTok user is not quite up to standards for what I'd expect of. I don't really expect to see many philosophers coming out of TikTok, so I don't think that's really an issue of gender or sexuality.
He canceled. No, I didn't like what he said.
Well, I think I was just gonna say, I think it's because women are very emotional, right? Like we are way more emotional than men. Like you brought up that clip of me earlier, like that makes me emotional because I genuinely like mean what I said from the heart.
Yeah.
And like I think women are more emotional. So like yes, if you see a video of Andrew saying something which is harsh and naturally exaggerated for marketing purposes, it's gonna trigger an emotion in you. And then I think it takes, from my experience, either more time or a man around you to say, hang on, Leia, like why don't you look at it from this perspective? You know, and you can actually see the logic. And then you're like, oh yeah, okay.
What? It takes a man for you to see things that are logical? Okay. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for your well-timed, your well thought out, your well articulated TikTok thoughts. This girl speaks at 2 times speed IRL, am I right? I have the video set to 1.25 speed. So maybe that's part of the reason why it sounds a little fast, but yeah, 1.25 speed. If you're not used to listening to YouTube videos above normal speed, then yeah, it might sound like 2 times speed.
Actually, that makes sense. So I think women naturally are going to not like him because we are emotional.
Leia, just because you have trouble with logic, unless a
Yeah,
man
it's pretty
slowly
funny.
walks you through it like you're a fucking toddler,
Hang on, Leia, like why don't you look at it from this perspective? You know, and you can actually see the logic.
doesn't mean that other women have trouble getting their brains to work properly. Have we considered the possibility that you're just not very bright?
No, I mean, I just think a lot of women are all in their emotions.
She's gonna argue.
Let him alone.
She's gonna argue that it's okay for women to not be bright because a woman's job is to be pretty and to take care of the home and to have kids. So a woman doesn't have to be bright. That's not her job.
You know, they say they want one thing, but they really want another. And, you know, I agree with Andrew when he says women don't know what they want.
This is the Rolo Tomasi position, and it's total.
A lot of people don't know what they want. It takes a while to figure it out. It's hard to figure it out. Seems like a cope. Coping just to agree. Mr. Andrew Cope, Mr. Andrew Cape, Mr. Andrew Estate, Mr. Andrew Elate. Yes, that Andrew. She's like she's criticizing a severe Andrew simp, and so she's trying to poke holes in her logic, and I mean, yeah, she doesn't have the best arguments, so I think it's pretty easy to attack her positions, but yeah, I think it is still a worthwhile service to counter particularly bad ideas like women aren't supposed to be bright. Women are supposed to stay home and it's relaxing to be a stay-at-home mom taking care of the kids 24/7.
Crap, and it's just a justification for saying that women shouldn't get a say because we burst into tears every time we try to think. If you think men don't also get emotionally attached to ideas or can be blinded by pride or anger or are sometimes just plain stupid, then I don't know how you made it this far in life. But I won't be painted as struggling to follow logical conversations just because you're an irredeemable cretin. Like, just stop it. It's just...
What the heck, irredeemable cretin? Oh my goodness. She's going in on her.
not true that men, like, I think there's different ways in which men and women can be illogical, but you just stop. Just fucking stop.
Hang on, Leia, like, why don't you look at it from this perspective, you know, and you can actually see the logic.
And do I really have to...
Yeah, we're not in the 60s anymore, or the 50s anymore. Women can go to school now, so big difference.
Say it. Do I really have to say it? Do I have to? I think I am gonna say it. This is a female sexual strategy where you
I still need to find oil. I have not yet found any, which is very depressing because I cannot make tanks yet. I have uranium? What the heck? Where's my uranium?
Fantalize yourself in order to be more appealing to men.
I'm silly and helpless and need rescuing. What is logic? Can you explain this to me? Oh no, my brain just fell down my top. Gosh, I'm so clumsy. It's my feminine emotions. They make...
Oh no, my brain just fell down. I need to go bend over to pick it up. Oh no, ooh woo.
Make it hard to stay upright.
That's a Civ 6. It's just the base game. Mechanized infantry based.
Oldest trick in the book, but don't throw all women under the bus in your play at the Marilyn Monroe effect.
Do it in your own time. Go wild, love, I don't care. Pretend you can't read. Stick a saucepan on your head and cross your eyes if you think that'll help. You snag yourself a man. But when you speak for you. Don't damage the competence, intelligence, and credibility of women's collective voice in order to promote your sexual desirability. That's where we're going to have a problem. You claim to speak for all of us far too often. I've got a question for you, Leah. I'm curious about this. I'm really curious about this. How do you go from interviewing David Icke, who, yes, there's a whole lizard thing, but a massive part of his message is also individual sovereignty and not outsourcing your thinking to anyone else. That is central to so much of what he says, and I appreciate that about him. And as far as I'm aware, his message isn't only aimed at men. So how do you go from interviewing someone who stresses the importance of not outsourcing your autonomy to anyone to saying that you stopped wearing...
This one and the one who's criticizing the Tate simp. I always forget her name. She has a pretty uncommon name. Let me see if I think it starts with a G. On YouTube, her name is Authentic Observer. Here is, Leia. Okay. Her YouTube channel is Authentic Observer. If I go look at her channel, I don't know if it'll list her name here. About, maybe? About. Yeah, I don't know. Her name is a pretty uncommon. I don't think I've ever heard anybody with her name before.
Eyeliner, because your brother told you to and you never question what he says. I'm interested in the journey there.
I'm very close with my brother, and my brother has proven to me on so many occasions that he is correct when we debate something. So my brother has proven himself to be the man, in my opinion. And so when my brother Gideon says, Leia, we're doing this, I'm like, okay, because I've shit tested him. I know that he's right. Honestly, if my brother says, Leia, change your shoes, I'll change them. I did the other day, I went to do a podcast with Iman Gaji, and Gideon was like, Leia, don't wear those shoes, wear those. I was like, okay. My brother told me to stop doing wings on my eyes, like the makeup. I go, okay. Because I trust his opinion. I comply with everything my brother says.
When I tell you that I would be so weirded out if my brother started telling me what to wear or what not to wear. I don't know which of the rules that breaks, but I feel like it breaks one of them. The law of nature? It can't just be me who finds that a little uncomfortable. It's not just me. The comments had a fucking field day with that one.
I comply with
What if her brother's like her parents, though? She needs some guidance from somebody who knows better than her because she's a woman and she is incapable of thinking for herself. Everybody needs, every woman rather needs either a man or a parent to choose her outfit for her every single day. It's way too dreadfully important of a task for a woman to decide on her own. Galatia, yeah, something like that.
everything my brother says.
Imagine being obedient to one of your siblings. Have I walked into a Cassandra Clare novel? What the fuck is going on? Jace, that's your sister! Sorry. No, I'm sorry. I crossed the line. I did cross a line. I did cross a line there, Leia. I hold my hands up. I did cross a line. But in my defence, I don't know how else to react to that. I would think my brother was high. Are you all right? Did the brain disease finally progress? That's a shame. 22 years. You had a good run. Look. There's no use getting upset about it. You've lost a genetic lottery. I don't know what to tell you. Now go and sit and dribble in the corner because you've clearly lost all cognitive function. If you think you can tell me how to do my eyeliner, what's wrong with you? Do you not have a girl to take out or something heavy to pick up and put down again in the same place? Why do you even care? Yeah, fucking hobby, mate.
What the heck? She's against working out. She hates men who pick up weights and put them back down again. What if that's what I do?
Begging your pardon. Can you imagine?
Begging your
I
pardon?
don't think you should do your eyeliner. Sorry, who are you?
Wait, what?
Sorry.
I don't want democracy.
Oh, that's right,
What
'cause
the heck?
I thought you were my brother.
Don't wear those shoes, wear those.
It's just sad, isn't it? Just I'd disown him.
Where the heck is fascism? I want to be a fascist, not a communist or democratic republic. It's probably over. Oh, it must be this one, maybe. It's either this one between mobilization and the democracy, or one of these two. But I hope it's this one. Might need opera and ballet for that.
I disown him. I would.
What you're saying is everyone needs a Gideon in their life.
My brother's the
Okay.
best.
Leia's banter. Don't be Leia. Don't be like that, Leia. It's banter, innit? It's banter. You get it? But yeah, British banter. Yeah. You know how it is. Look, your family dynamic is your family dynamic. Live your life. Being a weirdo isn't illegal. Where I do care is that you take that mentality of order following and you use it as a template for the feminine ideal for how women are supposed to be and behave and do what they're told and not question. And that, by the way, in case you were wondering, is how women end up doing sex work because their boyfriend told them to. Obedience is not femininity. What the fuck are you talking about? Even from a traditional perspective, we'll leave all modernism stuff, we'll go fully traditional, that women should submit and follow their husband's lead. We'll go even there, Leia, we'll go there, I'll go there with you. Okay, right from there. Even from that traditional perspective, how can you be a good mother if you're incapable of making choices? How can you be a good wife if you're not there making sure the right decision gets made because you're offering enough of a counter that ensures the choice is a strong one?
My brother is the smartest person I know. I'm at a point where I just don't even argue with him. If he says something, then I'm like, okay, yeah. Like, he tells me not to wear much makeup, the eye wings, they're gone. He tells me to change my shoes, change the shoes. Because he's just right. Like, I know that he's right. So I need a man that is as intelligent as him. Society has brought the bar down for men when women, we need it higher.
How?
That sounds so weird. I need a man who's as intelligent as my brother. It almost reminds me of like the Oedipal complex where Freud suggests that men look for women who are like their mother, and women look for men who are like their dads. Except in this case, it's way weirder, way more bizarre. It sounds almost like she's simping for her own brother as a potential looking for similarities to your brother and a potential mate, which yeah, Freud did say a lot of shit, that's true. But for now, I'm just specifying the strange, incestuous weirdness that's going on over here. I don't know if anybody else is getting that vibe out of that, or if it's just me.
How can you hold down the fort if for any reason your husband is out of commission for a while or permanently? How can you help take the burden off him by helping him reason through a really difficult decision if you're just going,
Okay.
okay, are all of his suggestions? This is ridiculous. This is like watching a little girl playing house. So out of touch.
She wants to sit at home relaxing and not thinking.
So somebody said to me, Leia, here, take a drink, take a shot. And I was like, whatever he thinks. This girl, she comes in, she's, no, you're a strong, independent woman. You don't need a man to tell you whether you can drink or not. And I was like, no, if you think I should have another drink, I'll have another drink. If you don't think I should, then I won't. So I was just like, I'm not playing these games.
Imagine being proud that you don't think for yourself. Imagine flaunting that you don't think for yourself.
I do not need to think for myself. That's what my boyfriend is for. That's what my husband is for. That's what my parents are for. Yes, I am American. She wants to surrender for 175, but I want her capital. So no. No deal.
Imagine believing that not thinking makes you more womanly. Imagine thinking...
But it's true. Women don't think. They're not good at it. Oh my goodness. She got her increased wall defense, so it's gonna take forever to break through. It's gonna take forever to break through her diamond walls. Unlucky. I guess what I could do is attack with 3 units at once. It sucks because this... Oh, wait a second. I thought these two were across the river, but it's only this one. British, so this hurts me on another level. Why does it hurt? Oh, because the British woman is being Russia had like 190 military, now he's at 45. What happened? Oh my god. Does it hurt because she's being quite unsophisticated, quite incapable of being an adult? Because she sounds like Oxford gone wrong. Oh, okay. I don't know too much about the different regional dialects and accents within the UK. So yeah, to me it just all sounds like one major blob. I'd have to interact with more people, more Brits from different areas to build a sense of familiarity with the different dialects and regional sounds and stuff.
That's a virtue. When you're so desperate for Andrew Tate's attention that you publicly admit to being a moron. You want to go really traditional? I'm pretty sure not even the Bible would advocate for that. It would say, no, women use your brains and think, and there's that Bible passage about what a good wife does or whatever. Like,
Look, you might be British. It might be advisable to avoid the British, but at the very least, you're not French, so you've got that going for you, okay?
this is not traditional. This is infantile. Also, can I just say, so the woman she's talking to in that clip, I've come across her vaguely before. I don't know a huge amount about her, but so she's an older woman. Not meaning that as an insult. You know, it's rude to talk about a lady's age, but just in the sense that, like, any older woman that I know, especially any like kind of conservative or traditional older woman, they like hit a young girl across the face, or like smack around the head if they heard her talking like that. They heard her being silly. Like older women, the point that they like slap the silliness out of silly young girls. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean that, like, maybe literally slap the silliness, but you know what I mean. Older women, traditional older women. Like, I've never seen. I think that's actually disgraceful that this older woman is like, thinks this is funny, or like, look, she's acting like a young girl.
Oh
This older woman is like listening to this young girl being silly. And not saying, why are you being so daft, lass? Like, come on, sort yourself out. Like, I can't, like, all the traditional women I know, and all the, like, oh my god, like, rural traditional women, like, farmers' wives, like, people, like, round here, or, like, who do, like, oh, Jesus. They'd, you know, whack a young girl around, like, and just, like, sort yourself out, girl. Sort yourself out, girl. Even traditional, like, no, what man's gonna want a wife like that? That's just daft. Why are you being silly? Like, that's what old women traditionally do, is they tell younger women when they've been so daft. Jesus Christ, that's what, like, oh my god, my grandmother would have just, like, I don't know what
She's
to do.
so
And she was just,
angry.
like, why, like, thought that older woman hadn't grown up and hadn't matured and hadn't become, like, an old, like, that's just, like, stunted. These people are not traditional. They're not. I find it wild when girls...
TBF, the French are actually alright. Okay, like, see, there you go. Now I'm starting to see why you tell me to avoid the British. You have opinions like this? Okay, buddy.
over the age of 16 still engage in this type of childish attention seeking and aren't embarrassed by how transparent it is. What Leia's doing here is just a slightly, not much, but slightly subtler way of playing dumb for attention. A couple of girls at school used to do that before they, you know, grew up. We had one girl ask in a biology lesson if fish swim. And even the boys that fancied her got annoyed at that one. It was like, right, we know you're dumb, but you're not that dumb. Have a day off, love. Maybe I'm not being fair. Leia might not be playing dumb. She might actually just be...
Guys, do fish swim? I don't know. I've never seen it. Guys, do fish swim?
dumb.
And my brother has proven to me on so many occasions that he is correct when we debate something. So my brother has proven himself to be the man, in my opinion. And so when...
Because they're French, that's why. Do I need any other reason other than because they're French? Oh my goodness, it's gonna take forever. Oh, it's because it's got an infantry in there. Fuck.
And my brother Gideon says, Leia, we're doing this. I'm like, okay, I comply with everything my brother says.
You're bragging about not thinking, Leia. You can't decide for yourself whether to have another drink. You have trouble deciding your own wardrobe. You comply unquestioningly, and you prefer to outsource your thinking to someone else. So in that case, can you please explain to me, in full sentences, why on God's green earth I...
Yeah, but I mean, you're American. Don't you hate the Russians? I hate everybody equally. It's okay. Except the French. The French deserve their own extra little bit of hate. Just for being French.
should take any of your ideas seriously? This is a genuine question. Why should I listen to you when you are telling me that you prefer not to think? This is how you end up blindly defending someone when you have no idea what you're saying, by the way. Which is fine. If you don't want to think for yourself, go for it, darling. But don't project it onto other women and promote...
I don't really have any extra views on Germans. I'm practicing a bit of German. That's why my game is in German. I've got some Siedlers and Handwerker and Kavaliere. And I want to continue to practice my German so that I can read Nietzsche and Goethe in their native language. I think I might just have to go all... Unlucky, gotta send my infantry all the way back. So we can upgrade them. Rippy dippy.
Promote this idea that that's how women are supposed to be. How dare you promote that as the essence of femininity?
Of course I'm racist. Why do you think I'm playing Civ? It's literally the game based off racism. I am Sumeria, and I have defeated the other race, the Japanese, and now I am defeating the other race, the Egyptians. And then I'm gonna go for the Russians over here, and then the Spanish, and then I'm gonna win. I'm literally playing racism the game.
How did you come up with that? I'm very interested in the thought process. How did you come to that conclusion when you apparently can't use your own brain without male supervision? You said that, honey, not me.
And then I think it takes, from my experience, either more time or a man around you to say, hang on, Leia, like, why don't you look at it from this perspective, you know, and you can actually see the logic. And then you're like, oh yeah, okay, actually that makes sense. So I think women naturally are going to not like him because we are emotional.
This is just lazy thinking. And then she hides behind,
But I'm a woman, we're all like this. It's too stressful for us to think for ourselves and make our own choices.
and it's so annoying. Not only because it's lazy, but also because sod off. Don't use us as an excuse for all the ways in which you fail to measure up. Work on yourself and leave us the hell out of it. Take some accountability. Stop acting like being a woman is an excuse not to think. And worst of all, Leia, again, you are doing a disservice to actual traditional women, of which, as we've established, you being unmarried, childless, and with a successful career are not one. You're not one of them. I'm not either. I don't claim to be. But like you, I also get very annoyed at the sneering at femininity and traditional feminine roles in society. And you do claim to be a traditional woman, by the way, Leia. You claim. One of the women I respected and admired most in this life was my grandmother when she was still alive, and she was as traditional as they come. Grew up dirt poor, she went through some bloody hard years, and she spent her whole life taking care of other people. First as a nurse, and then for her 4 children, and then for her grandchildren. She cleaned for people and cooked for them and could heal them with her hands. I hardly have any memories of her sitting down. Genuinely, hardly any memories of her sitting down because she was always running around after people, making sure they had what they needed and cleaning up after them and feeding them, and she offered wisdom and guidance and emotional support and was warm and selfless and kind.
Yeah, I might have to go for nukes and stuff because I was under the impression that this would be an easy war, but she managed to get her defenses up in time for this to become way more difficult than it initially would have been. It's gonna take hours to break through there. So I guess we'll just have to nuke them.
Kind and nurturing and soft and the kindest, warm-hearted person you could ever meet. And if she'd ever heard me speaking about how I let a man decide everything for me down to whether or not to have another drink because that's what women do, she'd have smacked me around the side of my head, Leia, and told me not to be so damn stupid. Then she would have asked me if I wanted to be stuck with an idiot, because only a daft man would want a daft woman. And what offends me greatly, despite the fact that I'm not a traditional woman myself, is you, Leia, presenting her and women like her who worked and served others every day of their lives and were authorities in their own spheres of influence, who to her, being a good wife meant being capable, competent, challenging my grandfather when she thought he was wrong and digging her heels in when necessary, who worked hard for others and hardly spared a thought for herself all her life, who was as ferocious and defensive of those she loved as she was soft and gentle. And what offends me is this parody of a traditional woman you're painting online to pander to your audience. Worst of all, because you are not a traditional woman by really any metric. That it's relaxing, easy, self-indulgent, thoughtless, a child's fantasy of femininity.
Like it's all just so much fun not thinking for yourself, easy, such a lark.
As if being able to think for yourself and to question and trust your own instincts and challenge decisions that don't sit right with you aren't qualities that traditional women will also need for the hardships that are bound to arrive at some point over the course of a life. This is insulting.
Unlucky. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to pull out of this for the time being. So I don't have any reinforcements here for the Egyptian front. I am actually very sad-faced about this. Very unfortunate.
To traditional women. This makes a mockery of them. And it also makes a mockery of femininity. If you want to infantilize yourself, that is fine, Leia, but then stop presenting yourself as the spokeswoman for traditional femininity when you are nothing of the sort. This is LARPing.
So their wife can stay home and relax.
I'm just imagining how my granddad would react if he was still alive and I showed him clips of this and asked him if this is what traditional women were like in his working class Northeast community when he was growing up. He'd just laugh. No, I know what he'd say. He'd say you were a soft southerner. That's the first thing he'd say. That's the first thing he'd say. And then he'd say that that sort of attitude isn't fit for life. And he would probably then bemoan the pampered state of the new generation. Because that's the funny thing. There is nothing traditional about this mindset. Traditional women were not indulged and thoughtless creatures who relaxed at home all day, struggle with using their brains, and waited to do what they're told. I mean, I think you're just talking about Marie Antoinette, aren't you? You're all modern superficial weirdos who live on the internet. Hug a tree. This girl, she rips into people all the time for not using their brains and for falling for mainstream narratives and being dumb and not thinking for themselves.
And they can't even define misogyny. If you look at my other videos, I ask all these women, what do you think about Andrew Tate? Oh my god, I hate him, he's a misogynist. Can you give me an example? Also, can you define misogyny, please?
But apparently, not thinking and absolving yourself of personal responsibility is only okay when she does it. That's not cringe, because she only does it with men. And we know from Rolo that men are infallible.
Because he's just right, like I know that he's right.
And to make it extra safe, Leia only does it with men that she's tested to make sure they're good men. You know, like Andrew Tate. Foolproof.
The natural way is for a woman to be submissive.
I don't want to get copyright struck on the music, but she says to the right man, like, I'm not being submissive to any random man out there. Hell no, it needs to be the right man. You'll have to show me that test, Leia. Tell me what it involves. I, for one, am very impressed with your results. Guaranteed to find you a good boyfriend who won't end up in jail. Jail.
What? There's a ring? I've never seen a ring being picked up by an archaeologist. That's pretty cool.
Jail. A boyfriend is not involved. Charges sex trafficking. Oh, faithful. Oh, and kind. Oh, Leia. I think you gave me the wrong test.
Girls that are 15 years old in 10 years time will have a big thank you to say to Andrew, because the guys that are currently 25 are consuming his content and
Holy moly, this hurts my ears.
learning how to be a man, you know? What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to protect and provide? Forget toxic masculinity. Andrew's actually teaching men how to be men. When these 15-year-olds turn 25 and they're looking at men that are 35, you know, they're gonna have better men to pick from because they've learned.
Thanks, Andrew. Oh, one day I will meet my Prince Charming, and if he doesn't also have a harem of other
I had to skip through that. That was awful. Oh my goodness.
women, I will be very upset. If he doesn't engage in psychological control tactics, I will weep dramatically and ask myself, is he even a feminist?
Andrew is doing a great good for women and for feminism. I think Andrew's actually the greatest feminist if you think about it. And I've actually texted Andrew and I told him,
Oh, give up. Have a day off, love. You can defend some of the things Tate said without going all in and defending dumb shit. Do you think for yourself at all? Oh no, sorry. We don't question strong men here. Got it. You talk such shit, Leia. This is so ridiculous. It's beyond saying I don't think he's a criminal. Now we're on, he's the greatest feminist. Leia. You're just being silly now. Leia.
Silly Billy.
Leia. No one believes that. Not even his fans believe that. He's the greatest feminist. Literally no one. Stop it. Just stop it. I am living in a Monty Python sketch. This is a dream, and you are a figment of John Cleese's imagination.
With government backing up would make it very silly.
This is the only logical explanation from this.
He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy.
You're not real.
Now go away.
So Leia, as I said, she makes lots of videos about Andrew Tate. There was the one which was called My Honest Reaction to His Arrest, and she put, not biased, in brackets in the title, which
Hashtag
I mean,
not
I believe her.
biased.
I don't think she would lie to us. I don't think she would. No, she's an unbiased, professional, truthful journalist who wants fairness and justice to prevail. I mean, yes, in her own words, she's also friends with him, and also the success of her YouTube channel was built on her support of him. But that doesn't mean she has any personal investment in this at all. I think we can trust her to be unbiased. So one of her more recent videos, there was that, the honest reaction, the honest, unbiased. Guys, I really want you to respect Leia and the fact that she is so good at being even though she's friends with him, she put that aside to be unbiased. In that video, really impressive. Like, she said in the title and everything that she was like not biased. So even though she's friends with him and like went to his house and stuff, and also like relies on him for her career, like it's really impressive that she had the moral courage to like be not biased. So anyway, there was that, the not biased reaction to his arrest. But then also, one of her more recent videos on Tate was her reaction to the Vice documentary. What's Leia's first criticism of Vice?
all right, I'm only 1 minute in and I can already tell this is incredibly biased.
Unlike Leia. Leia's not biased. Shows
Incredibly
she's a journalist with so
biased.
much integrity, because like nothing annoys Leia more than being biased. Nothing. She just calls it out when she sees it in other people. She's like, wow, you're biased against Andrew Tate, but not me. I'm not. Look, ooh, in the video title it says not biased.
Didn't do nothing.
Because if she says it, it'll make it true. That's how it works. So Leia's really great journalism in her videos. They follow a similar format. So she says very little. She pauses it on occasion to say something brain dead, offers nothing of value, and pouts at the camera. And there's like, it's subtle. You really got to appreciate like the artistry involved in her videos, because it's like really subtle, like little facial movements that really add the flavour to the lack of anything intelligent.
Oh boy. Oh no. Oh boy. I may have moved a little too fast there. I have left.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Left my bombard unattended. And there's an enemy infantry right next to it. Uh-oh, I may have to pay the troll toll.
Over the top housing did make me laugh. It did, but it's okay, Leia. I do it too. I just edit it out. I did actually, in my Patreon video, I caught myself doing it over on Patreon, and I don't edit my Patreon video, so I couldn't edit that. I just went like this, and the camera went like...
I am a big proponent of...
And I was like, oh god.
No!
So, no, I get it. I understand.
He's alive!
I do understand, you know, just... But the problem is, Leia, because you're not really giving me anything else to focus on. I could ignore that if there was something else going on, but there's kind of not really, is there? What creative decision was that led you to decide that? It's bold. It's really bold. But yeah, in essence, that's what she does. That's the format. That's what's going on. She does that, then she'll add in something about,
I don't see anything wrong here. I love strong men, and we should free Andrew Tate.
and then she waits for all the horny men in the comments to call her an angel for being so loyal and defending Tate no matter what, conveniently not mentioning that doing so is in her interests and her career relies on it. But we can go with the whole, you know, she has strong morals narrative if it makes you boys feel better about the shameless simping. That works too. That's fine. We can do that. It's her morals. Is why you watch her, isn't it? Yeah. I noticed that about her. I did. That was the first thing I did notice about Leia. Was
Definitely
the
her
two very
morals.
front and centre morals. I did.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
The always shot of the camera morals. Hey, I don't blame you. I'm not holding against. They're good morals. I love Leia's morals. I would just like to add a disclaimer. That is not a dig at you, Leia. That was just a joke. I would just like to say that I get it. I've got my stockings, and you have your morals, and that's really important that we both have that. And I think it bonds us together as like soul sisters or something. Wow. Wow.
Having a street fight with someone stop. No, it's
Exactly.
a reaction. I need to fight back.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes, yeah.
This is not life is not a video game that you can turn on and off. Life is serious. There are dangerous things at every corner. You can't just tap out because you're tired. As a man, you need to be able to defend yourself. I even think as a woman as well, we're not built like that. So that's why we need men to do this. Protect our honor. I think it's a great thing.
Ah, yes. Andrew Tate. Protector of women's honour. I don't know about you girls, but if I had a boyfriend who tried to convince me into doing online sex work for the pleasure of other men, I would certainly feel like he was defending my honour. Ladylike dignity.
There's nothing more honorable in a man than that. I don't know what she's complaining about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Deserved.
What do you think his detractors would say about, for example, what you just said, the phrase "my woman"? Do you think that they would consider that to be misogynist?
Oh my god.
The phrase "my woman" for me ties into the very traditional values that we have.
On that point, there's nothing sexist or misogynistic about saying my women. It's a beautiful thing. Would it be sexist if a woman said my husband? No. So why is it sexist if a man says my women? If something belongs to you, you're gonna look after it. You're gonna protect it.
You're going to put it online so other men can wank over it.
I love
Yes.
your traditional values, Leia. I think you and my grandma would have gotten on.
Was Andrew's right-hand man, Iggy Semmelweis.
No!
He's the
lost.
self-proclaimed
No!
greatest hypnotist in the world.
You will learn the power of hypnosis.
And seemed to have an agenda that expanded beyond the war room itself into something larger and darker.
Your sons will marry their daughters. Your daughters will marry their sons. You will create legacies. Enjoying those juicy steaks, that finer scotch, those smoother cigars.
He refused to speak to us,
I don't see a
but it's
problem
clear
here.
that he has a
You don't see a problem with Andrew Tate's personal wizard.
beyond the war room itself,
I mean, I think the problem is that it's deeply embarrassing, Leia.
big role to play in whatever the war room's real agenda is.
This is the war.
This is so ridiculous. They're acting like the war room is this dark, mysterious, dangerous cult. The way Matt is like, I managed to get access to it. It's really not that hard to get access to it. But in reality, it's just a group of men coming together, trying to improve their lives.
A group of men and a wizard. Don't forget the wizard. Nothing to see here. It's all very normal. This is just a group of men coming
Yeah, well, this is normal. We live in Harry Potter world. What's wrong with wizards? What the heck?
together to try and improve their lives. A group of men and a wizard. He looks like, I think he's a satanic high priest. I don't think he's a wizard. I think he's a Satanist. Rejected cast member of Now You See Me. It's just, I love how she phrases it. You don't have to like fucking cope for Tate so hard. Like you could still even defend him without like not allowing like any criticism. You can say, Yeah, the wizard is kind of fucking cringe.
Oh no!
Cool. You could just say that. That would make it better, but instead you're like,
This is so normal. It's just a group of men coming together and trying to improve their lives.
just admit that it's weird that there's a wizard. This is what it's just the dead behind the eyes. I cannot accept anything negative said about him. It's ridiculous.
What about in passing, asking people like, what single question?
Hang on, wait, pause. Are they?
Okay, maybe I should have backed off there and then moved. Oh no. I may have done goofed there. I don't think I will lose that artillery. But it is still a risk regardless. I don't think this guy's gonna die, but I'm pretty sure this infantry is gonna die. Unlucky.
Are they having a topless male photo shoot in the war room?
Now I have new mountains to climb, and I'd love to get back here a year from now and go to the gym of the guy who beat the shit out of me.
Didn't it feel like a movie the last few days? I feel like that's a great metaphor for life. You know, we shouldn't be slaves, we shouldn't be working 9-to-5 jobs. We should actually make our lives into, I guess, a movie.
I want to be known as one of the best fathers in the war room. I can't look at my sons and tell them to suck it up, Buttercup, if I don't say yes to this.
That's incredible. He just said he wants to be the best father. How can he look at his son in the eye if he's not brave enough to get in the ring? Where is the toxic masculinity there? This is so healthy. These are men thinking about their families, thinking about their children, thinking about their women, and thinking, how can I be a better man? How can I defend their honor? I'll get in the ring and I'll do better. I'll have goals. I will grow. I don't see the issue here. I support this. I love this. And I hope when Andrew has the opportunity to, once he's out of jail, he can keep inspiring men to have goals, to grow, to do better. Not one person has said, yeah, now I'm stronger. I can control my women more.
Pretty sure there are multiple clips of Andrew Tate saying that, but carry on.
Not one person has said, yeah, now I'm stronger. I can control my women more.
You can program them. They are programmable beings. They're designed to be programmed. You just have to be a large enough force to program them. That's all you have to be a force in nature.
Tell me a view I have that you think is genuinely insulting or destructive to society. I'd like to hear it.
You prefer younger women who are 18 or 19 because you can leave an imprint on them?
No, when I say leave an imprint, I mean that. I understand what you're trying to say. You're trying to say that, like, if I get her, I can brainwash her. I'm not trying to say that. You meet a girl who's 22 and you're her second
You hear that stuttering? Oh no.
boyfriend. She's
He
probably
done
like a
goof?
nicer person. Less jaded, less upset, less suspicious.
So you like to be in a position of power?
It's not being in a position of power.
You can program them. They are programmable beings. They're designed to be programmed. You just have to be a large enough force to program them. That's all you have to be a force in nature.
Of course, female beauty is extremely valuable in the eyes of men who seek to exploit it.
That's
I don't give a shit about having sex with beautiful women. I fuck them so they listen to me, so I can get what I actually want, which is not them. It's a means to an end. Every single Bond girl was exploited. That's exactly what I do.
Have you heard the term lover boy before?
The lover boy method?
Yeah.
Here it is. Did you guys catch that? Yeah. So Vice said that, you know, Andrew Tate exploits women's beauty. Leia says that's rubbish. Right after she says that, literally 2 seconds in that documentary, Andrew Tate literally says how he exploits beautiful women and he doesn't care about them and they're a means to an end. And he used the words exploit, and he ends it with, that's exactly what I do. So it's rubbish that female beauty is valuable for exploitation. Is it, Leia? No, it's not. He literally says the exact opposite. But look, and she says nothing here. She's just said, no, that's rubbish. That's not what it is. That's rubbish. And then 2 seconds, she just watches him just.
Oh my goodness, 23 envoys from Pericles to Amsterdam? That's quite excessive. And 14 to Hong Kong. That's not as bad, but 23. I don't think I've ever seen 23 envoys to a single city-state. That's quite mind-blowing, if I do say so myself.
Say it, and she says nothing. It's like, did you just catch that? Her brain just fucking blanked. This is what I call Tate brain disease, where it's like they can't hear the bad stuff and will deny wrongdoing that he himself admits to. Like, this is the level of, like, insanity, of, like, he's saying this, he'll say, and then his fans will be like, no, that's rubbish. No, I didn't hear that. It's rubbish. It's like, he fucking said it, you dickhead. What? Like, and also, like, Leia, why would you not just edit that out of your video? It makes you look so bad. Just, why didn't you edit that out? He directly contradicted your defense of him. 2 seconds later, fire your editor. Fire your editor. You should have cut that. You should have cut that. It makes you look like you're brainwashed. It does. It makes you look like you're brainwashed and biased to an extent that there is nothing that can convince you that he's in the wrong. The utter refusal to criticise or see any wrong makes you and him both look really bad. And also, criminal accusations to the side, Miss Heilpan. This is the man that you are calling a good man. This is how he talks about treating people.
We're told not to film the celebrations that conclude the evening, and it's not clear exactly what goes on. But once outside the lobby, we could clearly see a room containing naked women being photographed.
Naked women.
You're so traditional, Leia. I love it. I love how traditional you are.
Whoa, naked woman. He's so cool. He hangs out with naked women's.
Oh, this is so traditional. Hello, I'd like to interject with some new information that I recently became aware of. So I'm planning to put this section of the video out as a video on its own. So if you're seeing this, it may be as the beginning to its own video, or else in the middle of my full video on the moral degenerate formerly known as Leia Heilpern. I only became aware of this information after I filmed the video, so what I'm filming now is an addition because it's relevant to what will follow, and it will go back to normal in a second. I would also, the reason I'm doing this as its own clip as well as its own video and also putting this part in is because I would like to give Leia, who is in full support of Tate in pretty much every way that I've seen, and who vocally defends his like of very young women, I'd like her to give her the opportunity to publicly denounce this.
So let's just watch this video about Vivian, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
At it where I've had girls who say, oh, I know you're with Vivian, I know you've been with her a long time, I don't mind, I'll stay out tonight, you two stay alone, all that shit. It never lasts long. Because the ones who are really in love with you won't do that. You actually have to downplay your relationship with the girl of 6 years. Relationship with the girl of 6 years. 6 years. And I only get away with that because the girl of 6 years plays along. So Vivian's been with me
So he's been with Vivian for 6 years, right?
She's completely head over heels, loving me. She wants kids with me, everything. And we met and we fell, whatever, we're in love. But when a new girl comes, she'll go, oh yeah, I started off working for him and it's just how it worked out.
So Vivian's in on...
I'm starting to run out of money. My military strength is 1138. To Egypt's 170. Russia's 112. Pericles is the strongest right. Oh my goodness. Strongest military right now at 275. I think I might be able to take the Egyptian capital with these new mechanized infantry to support. But I think it might still take a while. We might lose one or two. Since we are lacking in modern artillery, unfortunately.
On the con, right? And so if you're being deceived, even in the love arena, in order to get you to sex traffic, in order to get you to do the webcam business, it's part of the forced fraud or coercion.
Super downplay us. When I bring on new girls, I usually pair them with Vivian. Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28, Vivian's like 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been a girlfriend for 6 years. So you do the math. It means that they met when she was 15 years old.
Fun, more outgoing. Melissa's really quite, not in a bad way, she's more homey, boring, sits at home.
The release of atom
if you're going to pair a girl with a girl, it's much easier if the girl's fun. So a description of the relationship versus Vivian. So yeah, that's how it started. I met Vivian in Slovakia. We had a long-term relationship thing. I was living in England. It's a really long story. I don't want to tell you the whole story. I moved her to England to be with me to start doing my webcam company, which I started. If you don't have a webcam company, you need to look into it. As soon as you have a couple girls in love with you, it's the fucking easiest money in the world. No, I take that back. It's not easy money. You got to build it up. But once you get girls built up, then it's free money. Like every other business, you got to build it up. But
I mean, I'm playing Civ 6. It's a war of the races, so makes sense to me. Doesn't that make sense to you?
I decided I want to start a webcam business.
Why do you think I like playing Civ 6? And Total War, where we're countries and nations and kingdoms of a particular race fighting each other.
Vivian's beautiful. I said, look, stop being a waitress, come here, live with me. She came. Everything was fine for a couple weeks.
Same thing. Culture races. Tomato, tomato.
Melissa obviously lived in England. They didn't know about each other. They found out. They tried to have a big argument with me. I did exactly as I said, downplayed it, didn't give a shit. Everyone moved in together. Everyone started doing webcam.
Yes, I know. That's what I said.
I was making loads of money. Then we agreed to the split, like we said. And that's basically been it. Since then, new girls have come along. Vivian understands that I'm fucking these hoes, but I don't care about these hoes.
So the manipulation
I don't care about these hoes. That's how cool I am.
When you run game like me and meet the women who I meet beautiful virgins. I'll do 2 or 3 virgins a year. A virgin when you're an ice cold player. There is a tactic.
Given that you regularly speak about how Andrew Tate is a personal friend of yours, Leia, that you cannot imagine him to be involved in any wrongdoing, and you loudly and proudly defend him from pretty much all criticisms or any doubts cast on his supposedly glowing character, I'm wondering what your comments are on Andrew Tate apparently admitting to dating a 15-year-old girl and then flying her to England to do camgirl work for him. As you are a believer that most of what is going on is just the Matrix trying to tear down a good man, I'm afraid
It's
that
the
I must
Matrix.
insist you provide a convincing reason why this is false, or Andrew Tate didn't mean it, or was lying, or we shouldn't take this seriously, or why this isn't serious or something to be totally disgusted by. I want to hear this. This'll be good.
This clip of him very calmly talking and giving advice, we shouldn't take it seriously because I know he's innocent.
Which defense layer are we going to go with now?
Okay, well, I'll admit on the surface,
I think my game might be broken. Every time I open the production queue for the city, it always expands the Wonders tab. I don't know why. What the heck did they do to this game that it's just everything is nothing works. The music doesn't work anymore. The menus don't work anymore. There was a bug kind of thing over here where it looked like there was a city in the middle of nowhere. There was that other time I was playing and the pikeman for some reason had 3 movement, even across a mountain, a forested mountain, and he was able to kill my defending crossbowman. I don't know what they've done to this game. It's kind of frustrating, honestly. This one isn't as big of an issue, but the other one where I was playing tactically sound, I was moving my military the way I should have been given the situation, and the game said, nope, fuck you. We're just gonna kill your guy regardless of how well you positioned him and how well defended he is. Kind of really annoying that they do that.
like, this doesn't look great for Andrew, but you guys have got to remember that Andrew speaks in a lot of hyperbole. He must have only met her when she was 15, and I know Andrew personally, so clearly he clearly probably only started her on camera when she turned 18, and I don't think I think it's ridiculous to like call this grooming or anything like that, because actually, fun fact, you guys, what makes this totally fine is that in Slovakia the age of consent is 15. Yeah, so as his friend, there's obviously nothing wrong with this. This is another case of the Matrix and the media attacking a masculine man for just being healthy in his sexuality and healthily expressing interest in younger women, like 15 years old. Come on, you superficial, self-obsessed bimbo. I want to hear you say it. I want you to defend this. I want you to reveal yourself so we can all see just how deep the moral rot goes.
What the heck? She wants another woman to reveal herself? I thought she was in favor of women being capable of being mature. This is what I expected of her.
In fact, I extend this challenge to all Tate fans. I want to hear you defend this. Defend being with a 15-year-old. Just take the mask off, you predatory pieces of shit, and prove that you don't care about this. Or else I want to hear the cope. I want to hear it. I want to hear the defenses.
The defense is gonna be something like, but he's so cool. Look, he can get girls of any age. That's awesome. I wish when I were 14, I could also get a 14-year-old girlfriend. Easy peasy. That's gonna be the defense.
I want to see the extent you will go for him. I want to see just how far.
But I honestly don't really know because I didn't follow this entire stuff with this guy at all. It just seemed so boring and uninteresting.
You're in the cult. Oh no, that's part of his character. It's hyperbole. It's just to make him appear like more cool because, you know, like dating and exploiting teenagers that is hyper masculinity, guys. What we need to embrace to fight the new world order. He just wants men to be more masculine. There's nothing wrong with this. He didn't mean it. And don't think you can be silent on this and that makes it okay. No. I am speaking right now to every single creator who has been publicly defending Tate as a good guy and who treats women well. Who treats women not just, but as is natural, as they should be treated. as hashtag masculinity. Everyone who has accused those who don't like him of being brainwashed by the Matrix or being unfair. I want an update video where you give your thoughts on this. You can debunk it or support it. Either one. Go for it. Do your best. But either way, do something. Because otherwise, I'm going to assume that you think it is acceptable to have a relationship with a 15-year-old girl and then get her doing sex work for you, but you're just too cowardly to publicly admit it. If you've got a good defense, I'll hear it. Tell me. But say something. Well, that's what I'm assuming. And I don't care about the other claims about him. We're not talking legal. Fuck that for now. Tell me what you think of what he said here. Tell me what you think of this. Just this. This is your hero. Fuck me. Trapping young girls. Oh, yeah, he's really the poster boy for freedom. Freedom against tyranny. This is your masculine standard. Wow. What sort of man dates a 15-year-old girl? And what sort of men cover for him, shut their eyes and ears to it, pretend he never said it, or who still herald him as a good man? Men I would spit on in the street. There's nothing masculine about that. Cult-like followers. That goes for you too, Leia. This man is your
She's so
friend.
angry.
Wow, you can pick him, can't you? Here is your opportunity.
Well, Leia is so correct. Women are just so emotional all the time. What the heck? And she's literally proving it right now.
Leia, here is your opportunity to publicly condemn what he just said there. I'm going to give you and others the benefit of the doubt and assume that you had no idea he said this, but if you remain silent on the issue, I will then have to assume that actually you do know and you don't care, and it's more comfortable and beneficial for you to ignore this. It serves yourself more. That you don't want the embarrassment. I hope you do show a bit of bloody courage and decency for once, Leia, and say something about this. I would not hold that against you. I would respect that. I'll go back to the initial video now, and you'll see why I included this extra clip beforehand. It adds more context. Just every time I say 18 in the upcoming clip, if you like, you could swap that out for 15 and imagine that I have 10 times the fury. And as for what I think of this clip of Tate, well, unless something miraculous comes out to prove why I shouldn't take him at his word here, and why even if it's the case that he lied, why that's okay, unless a miracle of that sort happens, what's my current position on Tate? He can rot.
Another really controversial topic is the fact that Andrew talks about liking younger girls. Now, a lot of these clips that we see of Andrew...
Okay, I think we've had enough of this. See if we can swap over to Ogre to another topic. Or maybe, actually. Maybe. Before we do some articles, let me do the wordles for today. Which means starting with some musics. Okay. What is our first word today? What's a considering the topic we've just been listening to for a little bit, let's do something akin, maybe like creep, but I don't want to use two E's. Or, oh, I know, weird. This is a good starting word. It could be like while, maybe. No, there's no E, so not while. It is most likely a WH word. It was wine a couple weeks ago, but there's no E this time, so it cannot be wine. If I can get this word in 2 guesses, I think that'd be super duper cool. Oh no, it cannot be white because there's no E as well. Wimp is W-I-M-P, right? Not W-H-I-M-P, if I am thinking correctly. About wig. Oh, it could be I think, okay. I believe that whiff is a very good guess here, a very good word. I have very high hopes for this word. Let's do it. Oh my fucking goodness. I am literally the best person to ever exist in all of human history. And my brain is just so massive. Fish want me, women fear me, men emulate me. Based solely off of that performance there. 2 guesses, who would have thought? Okay, now time for Quirtle. Quirtle. I think strong is too long. Nope. Because that was a very strong performance previously. Okay, I gotta be right back. I gotta use the kitty room while I think of a good first word to guess. believe I have come up with a good first word. Stand. Oh my goodness, I got 3 letters. 3 letters here and 4 letters here, 3 of which are in the correct spot. I'm so good at this game. It's not even funny. Okay, so I think I'm gonna wanna try. Let's see where these land. Or actually, no. I think I'm gonna stick with my plan of using the second word, the second guess, to find more letters. I feel like that's a pretty good strategy to go for when you have 4 words to guess in Quordle. Let's see, we're playing Civ. What do we have in Civ? Forest, plain. No, we already used A and L. Wild, no. Group. Group is a good word. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, the good thing is... the good thing is, I guess, that I've crossed out 5 letters that we do not need. Okay, I'm focusing currently on the top right word. We have S, something here, A-N, and then T. It's probably shan't. Shan't is not a word on Quordle. Interesting. Okay, it has to be slant then. Is scant a word? Scant is a word. Oh no. Okay, let's go with slant. I'm gonna be so sad if it's not slant. Okay, thankfully I guessed the correct one. Okay, what can we do on the bottom left? Andor. There's a good chance that it could be a door. I have to at least try it so I can tell. I get at least some of these letters in their correct spot. What the heck? It's not a door and none of those letters are in the correct spot? I'm being trolled so hard right now. Is Randy a word here? I'm gonna try it because I think it's funny. It could definitely be the word, but I am not particularly confident because it's literally just a wild guess, a wild shot in the dark. It is not Randy. Oh my goodness. Okay. The good thing is we know where a lot of these letters do not go. So A and R do not go first. A goes second. A and N do not go third. And R and D do not go fourth. And the D does not go last. So D is either first or third. D, A, R. It cannot be darn. Cannot be Darren. It could also start with N. If it starts with N, it would be in a D. Something and then R. What does nadir mean? It's either something like this, or the D and the A, the D and the N are swapped. Although I suppose the N could go last as well. Let's do it this way. I don't see what it could be if it's DAR. That's pretty weird. Which leads me to conclude that it is probably not a DAR word. There could just be another letter here, then A, and then D. Then another letter here, and then N at the end. What could this word be? Oh no, I don't know if I'm gonna get this one. I've already wasted 5 guesses. I've only got 4 more. I am not feeling particularly good about this one. It doesn't seem particularly good. With each passing minute, my odds decrease as I run out of possible words. I started off pretty good too, other than the group, but unlucky. Hold on a second, D goes first. because it can't go second, third, fourth, or fifth. So 100% D goes first on the bottom right. Something can go here, N goes here, E can go here. E can either go second or fourth. If it is a D-E-N word, it is probably not a D-E-N word. I don't know if I can make any other words with these remaining letters that start with D-E-N. Okay. I guess denim was the only word it could have been. Luckily I got it. Okay, so there's an A here and an I here. Okay, I might be able to recover this if I get this word on the bottom left right now. And then I have good letters left here for the top left. But I only have one opportunity for a mistake. I cannot make two mistakes if I want to salvage this one. Okay, so the first letter here cannot be A, R, D. It can be N. This is A. This can be D, and this can be I. It is Nadir. Oh my god, I should have just guessed that initially. I'm looking at this and I have all the letters. And then, oh my goodness. Okay, okay. So the good thing is I have two guesses left here. I have A. S goes somewhere in the middle. And then Y goes at the end. Something that looks like assy. What could this word be? Askew? No, it cannot be askew. There could be another A here. It doesn't go second or third, but it could go fourth. This is a possibility. Assay is a word. I suspect this might be the word, and I'm gonna go ahead and guess this one. Okay, my gut instinct was correct. It is assay. Holy moly. I'm so fortunate that I I was able to salvage this one. It was looking pretty bleak and pretty grim there for a little bit, but luckily I was able to pull it off. I think I should have just guessed Nadir when I thought of it. Nadir, the point of the celestial sphere that is directly opposite to the zenith and vertically downward from the observer. Nadir is here, observer is here, zenith is here. I don't think I have ever would have encountered this word anywhere. The point of the celestial sphere that is directly opposite the zenith and vertically downward. So let's say the moon is over here and you're over here. This is the zenith, and then on the very opposite side of the globe, on the exact opposite would be the nadir. Assuming that's what it is. Phew! Lucky, lucky. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and save here on Civ. And then I think I'm gonna read some Harry Potter. I feel like doing some Harry Potter right now. Okay. We last left off at the end of the first... I gotta kill the music. We last left off at the end of the first chapter. And that is where we will resume our adventures into the magical world of Harry Potter. Forest. Okay, here we go. Oh, I think what I need to do... Okay, maybe for next time, I'm going to go ahead and write this down into my notes. I need to get a... Whereabouts is my streaming notes? I need to grab... Where's my local group? Local group. Hello? 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 Where's my local group? I don't see it. It's missing! It's gone! I don't see nothing. Where the heck is it? It's just gone. It doesn't exist. It disappeared. Outline, outgoing links. I guess we'll do outgoing links then. Okay. We need to do this for reading. We're going to make a fireplace and get some fireplace sounds of the fire and the and the firewood crackling and growling. That'd be a nice little addition while we're reading our books. I think that was also my initial plan when I got my physical books. So in this case, we're gonna do that for the PDFs as well. I could probably mock up a quick one on Photoshop, but I don't really feel like doing that right now. Let's see, here we are on page 11. Where is the next chapter? Page 19, so 8 pages. Okay, I think I'll read these 8 pages and then we'll swap Ogre to our next thing. Okay. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Chapter 2, The Vanishing Glass. Nearly 10 years had passed since the Dursleys had woken up to find their nephew on the front step. But Privet Drive had hardly changed at all. The sun rose on the same tidy front gardens and lit up the brass number 4 on the Dursleys' front door. It crept into the living room, which was almost exactly the same as it had been on the night when Mr. Dursley had seen that fateful news report about the owls. Only the photographs on the mantelpiece really showed how much time had passed. 10 years ago, there had been lots of pictures of what looked like large pink beach ball wearing different colored bonnets. But Dudley Dursley was no longer a baby, and now the photographs showed a large blond boy riding his first bicycle, on a carousel at the fair, playing a computer game with his father, being hugged and kissed by his mother. The room held no sign at all that another boy lived in the house too. Yet Harry Potter was still there, asleep at the moment, but not for long. His Aunt Petunia was awake, and it was her shrill voice that made the first noise of the day. Up! Get up! Now! Harry woke with a start. His aunt rapped on the door again. Up! She screeched. Harry heard her walking toward the kitchen, and then the sound of the frying pan being put on the stove. He rolled onto his back and tried to remember the dream he had been having. It had been a good one. There had been a flying motorcycle in it. He had a funny feeling he'd had that same dream before. His aunt was back outside the door. Are you up yet? She demanded. Nearly, said Harry. Well, get a move on. I want you to look after the bacon. And don't you dare let it burn. I want everything perfect on Dudley's birthday. Harry groaned. What did you say? His aunt snapped through the door. Nothing, nothing. Dudley's birthday. How could he have forgotten? Harry got slowly out of the bed and started looking for socks. He found a pair under his arm, and after pulling a spider off of them, he put them on. Harry was used to spiders, because the cupboard under the stairs was full of them, and that was where he slept. When he was dressed, he went down to the hall into the kitchen. The table was almost hidden beneath all Dudley's birthday presents. It looked as though Dudley had gotten the new computer he wanted, not to mention the second television and the racing bike. Exactly why Dudley wanted a racing bike was a mystery to Harry, as Dudley was very fat and hated exercise, unless of course it involved punching somebody. Dudley's favorite punching bag was Harry, but he couldn't often catch him. Harry didn't look it, but he was very fast. I feel like this is it's a nice little illusion that people want things just because they don't have them, even if they'll never use them. Perhaps it had something to do with living in a dark cupboard, but Harry had always been small and skinny for his age. He looked even smaller and skinnier than he really was, because all he had to wear were old clothes of Dudley's, and Dudley was about 4 times bigger than he was. Harry had a thin face, knobbly knees, black hair, and bright green eyes. He wore round glasses held together with a lot of scotch tape because of all the times Dudley had punched him on the nose. The only thing Harry liked about his own appearance was a very thin scar on his forehead that was shaped like a bolt of lightning. He had had it as long as he could remember, and the first question he could ever remember asking his Aunt Petunia was how he'd gotten it. "In the car crash when your parents died," she said. "And don't ask questions." Don't ask questions. That was the first rule for a quiet life with the Dursleys. Uncle Vernon entered the kitchen. As Harry was turning over the bacon. "Comb your hair," he barked, by way of a morning greeting. About once a week, Uncle Vernon looked over the top of his newspaper and shouted that Harry needed a haircut. Harry must have had more haircuts than the rest of the boys in his class put together, but it made no difference. His hair simply grew that way, all over the place. Harry was frying eggs by the time Dudley arrived in the kitchen with his mother. Dudley looked a lot like Uncle Vernon. He had a large pink face, not much neck, small watery blue eyes, and thick blonde hair that lay smoothly on his thick fat head. Aunt Petunia often said that Dudley looked like a baby angel. Harry often said that Dudley looked like a pig in a wig. What the heck, he's fat-phobic too? And to think Rowling was already in enough trouble. Now add on to that fat phobia. Where are all the fat characters in the Harry Potter movie? Hagrid doesn't count, he's a giant. We need better representation for fat characters in this new Harry Potter remake that they're going to be doing. Harry put the plate of eggs and bacon on the table, which was difficult as there wasn't much room. Dudley, meanwhile, was counting his presents. His face fell. 36, he said, looking up at his mother and father. That's 2 less than last year. Darling, you haven't counted Auntie Margie's present yet. It's here under the big one from Mummy and Daddy. All right, 37, said Dudley, going red in the face. Harry, who could see a huge Dudley tantrum coming, began wolfing down his bacon as fast as possible in case Dudley turned the table over. Aunt Petunia obviously scented danger too, because she said quickly, "And we'll buy you another 2 presents while we're out today. How's that, Popkin? 2 more presents. Is that all right?" Dudley thought for a moment. It looked like hard work. Finally, he said slowly, "So I'll have 39, sweetums," said Aunt Petunia. "Oh!" Dudley sat down heavily and grabbed the nearest parcel. "All right, then." Uncle Vernon chuckled. "Little Tyke wants his money's worth, just like his father. Attaboy, Dudley," he ruffled Dudley's hair. At that moment, the telephone rang and Aunt Petunia went to answer it, while Harry and Uncle Vernon watched Dudley unwrap the racing bike, a video camera, a remote control airplane, 16 new computer games, and a VCR. He was ripping the paper off a gold wristwatch when Aunt Petunia came back from the telephone, looking both angry and worried. "Bad news, Vernon," she said. "Mrs. Figg's broken her leg. She can't take him." She jerked her head in Harry's direction. Dudley's mouth fell open in horror, but Harry's heart gave a leap. Every year on Dudley's birthday, his parents took him and a friend out for the day, to adventure parks, hamburger restaurants, or the movies. Every year, Harry was left behind with Mrs. Figg, a mad old lady who lived 2 streets away. Harry hated it there. The whole house smelled of cabbage, and Mrs. Figg made him look at photographs of all the cats she'd ever owned. "Now what?" said Aunt Petunia, looking furiously at Harry as though he'd planned this. Harry knew he ought to feel sorry that Mrs. Figg had broken her leg, but it wasn't easy when he reminded himself it would be a whole year before he had to look at Tibbles, Snowy, Mr. Paws, and Tufty again. "We could phone Marge," Uncle Vernon suggested. "Don't be silly, Vernon. She hates the boy." The Dursleys often spoke about Harry like this, as though he wasn't there, or rather, as though he was something very nasty that couldn't understand them, like a slug. What about, what's her name? Your fate, your friend, Yvonne. On vacation in, what the heck is this word? Majora's Mask? On vacation in Majora, snapped Aunt Petunia. You could just leave me here, Harry put in hopefully. He'd be able to watch what he wanted on television for a change, and maybe even have a go on Dudley's computer. I think that could be taken in a different way in modern times. It's kind of like when you had to sneak down into the living room to use the computer at 3 a.m. because your parents are otherwise gonna know that you're looking at stuff. Kinda sussy. Aunt Petunia looked as though she'd just swallowed a lemon. And come back to find the house in ruins, she snarled. I won't blow up the house, said Harry, but they weren't listening. I suppose we could take him to the zoo, said Aunt Petunia slowly, and leave him in the car. That car's new. He's not sitting in it alone. Dudley began to cry out loudly. In fact, he wasn't really crying. It had been years since he'd really cried. But he knew that if he screwed up his face and wailed, his mother would give him anything he wanted. Dinky Dinky Dums. Dinky... That's not Dinky Dinky Dums. Dinky Duddy Dums, don't cry. Mommy won't let him spoil your special day, she cried, flinging her arms around him. I don't want him to come, Dudley yelled between huge pretend sobs. He always spoils everything. He shot Harry a nasty grin through the gap in his mother's arms. Just then, the doorbell rang. Oh, good Lord, they're here, said Aunt Petunia frantically. And a moment later, Dudley's best friend, Piers Pulkis, walked in with his mother. Piers was a scrawny boy with a face like a rat. He was usually the one who'd held people's arms behind their backs while Dudley hit them. Dudley stopped pretending to cry at once. What the heck? He doesn't want to look like a crybaby in front of his cool friend. He's too cool to cry. Half an hour later, Harry, who couldn't believe his luck, was sitting in the front of the Dursleys' car with Piers and Dudley, on the way to the zoo for the first time in his life. His aunt and uncle hadn't been able to think of anything else to do with him, but before they'd left, Uncle Vernon had taken Harry aside. I'm warning you, he said, putting his large purple face right up close to Harry's. I'm warning you now, boy. Any funny business, anything at all, and you'll be in that cupboard from now until Christmas. I'm not going to do anything, said Harry. Honestly. But Uncle Vernon didn't believe him. No one ever did. The problem was, strange things often happened around Harry, and it was just no good telling the Dursleys he didn't make them happen. Once, Aunt Petunia, tired of Harry coming back from the barber's looking as though he hadn't been at all, had taken a pair of kitchen scissors and cut his hair so short he was almost bald except for his bangs, which she left, quote, to hide that horrible scar. Dudley had laughed himself silly at Harry, who spent a sleepless night imagining school the next day, where he was already laughed at for his baggy clothes and taped glasses. Next morning, however, he had gotten up to find his hair exactly as it had been before Aunt Petunia had sheared it off. He had been given a week in his cupboard for this, even though he had tried to explain that he couldn't explain how it had grown back so quickly. Another time, Aunt Petunia had been trying to force him into a revolting sweater of Dudley's, brown with orange puffballs. The harder she tried to pull it over his head, the smaller it seemed to become, until finally it might have fitted a hand puppet, but certainly wouldn't fit Harry. Aunt Petunia had decided it must have shrunk in the wash, and, to his great relief, Harry wasn't punished. On the other hand, he'd gotten into terrible trouble for being found on the roof of the school kitchens. Dudley's gang had been chasing him, as usual, as much to Harry's surprise as anyone else. There he was, sitting on the chimney. The Dursleys had received a very angry letter from Harry's headmistress, telling them Harry had been climbing school buildings. But all he'd tried to do, as he shouted at Uncle Vernon through the locked door of his cupboard, was jump behind the big trash cans outside the kitchen doors. Harry supposed that the wind must have caught him in mid-jump. It's like It's like one of those video game things where like there's a big huge fan below and you have to jump on it so that you can gain altitude and jump higher than usual. That's literally what he's doing here. How did he not see that huge fan below him? Maybe that's why he needs glasses. He's so blind. He can't see massive fans below him blowing him up into the air. Harry supposed that the wind must have caught him in mid-jump. But today, nothing was going to go wrong. It was even worth being with Dudley and Piers to be spending the day somewhere that wasn't school, his cupboard, or Mrs. Fig's cabbage-smelling living room. While he drove, Uncle Vernon complained to Aunt Petunia. He liked to complain about things. People at work, Harry, the council, Harry, the bank, and Harry were just a few of his favorite subjects. This morning, it was motorcycles. Roaring along like maniacs, the young hoodlums, he said as a motorcycle overtook them. I had a dream about a motorcycle, said Harry, remembering suddenly. It was flying. Uncle Vernon nearly crashed into the car in front. He turned right around in his seat and yelled at Harry, his face like a gigantic beet with a mustache. Motorcycles don't fly! Dudley and Piers sniggered. I know they don't, said Harry. It was only a dream. But he wished he hadn't said anything. If there was one thing the Dursleys hated even more than his asking questions, it was his talking about anything acting in a way it shouldn't, no matter if it was in a dream or even in a cartoon. They seemed to think he might get dangerous ideas. It was a very sunny Saturday, and the zoo was crowded with families. The Dursleys brought Dudley and Piers large chocolate ice creams at the entrance, and then, because the smiling lady in the van had asked Harry what he wanted before they could hurry him away, they brought him a cheap lemon ice pop. It wasn't bad either, Harry thought, licking it as they watched a gorilla scratching its head who looked remarkably like Dudley, except that it wasn't blonde. He's talking about the DK in that Mario movie. It's the gorilla. It's a monkey. Harry had the best morning he'd had in a long time. He was careful to walk a little way apart from the Dursleys so that Dudley and Piers, who were starting to get bored with the Aminals by lunchtime, wouldn't fall back on their favorite hobby of hitting him. They ate in the zoo restaurant, and when Dudley had a tantrum because his Knickerbocker glory didn't have enough ice cream on top, Uncle Vernon brought him another one, and Harry was allowed to finish the first. What the heck? Harry's so spoiled! Oh my goodness. Harry felt, afterward, that he should have known it was all too good to last. After lunch, they went to the reptile house. It was cool and dark in there, with lit windows all along the walls. Behind the glass, all sorts of lizards and snakes were crawling and slithering over bits of wood and stone. Dudley and Piers wanted to see huge, poisonous cobras and thick, man-crushing pythons. Dudley quickly found the largest snake in the place. It could have wrapped its body twice around Uncle Vernon's car and crushed it into a trash can. But at the moment, it didn't look in the mood. In fact, it was sleeping. Sleepings. Dudley stood with his nose pressed against the glass, staring at the glistening brown coils. Make it move, he whined at his father. Uncle Vernon tapped on the glass, but the snake didn't budge. Do it again, Dudley ordered. Uncle Vernon rapped the glass smartly with his knuckles, but the snake just snoozed on. This is boring, Dudley moaned. He shuffled away. Harry moved in front of the tank and looked intently at the snake. He wouldn't have been surprised if it had died of boredom itself. No company except stupid people drumming their fingers on the glass, trying to disturb it all day long. It was worse than having a cupboard as a bedroom, where the only visitor was Aunt Petunia hammering on the door to wake you up. At least he got to visit the rest of the house. The snake suddenly opened its beady eyes. Slowly, very slowly, it raised its head until its eyes were on a level with Harry's. It winked. Harry stared. Cat stare. Then he looked quickly around to see if anyone was watching. They weren't. He looked back at the snake and winked too. The snake jerked its head toward Uncle Vernon and Dudley, and then raised its eyes to the ceiling. It gave Harry a look that said quite plainly, "I get that all the time." "I know," Harry murmured through the glass, though he wasn't sure the snake could hear him. It must be really annoying. The snake nodded vigorously. "Where do you come from anyway?" Harry asked. The snake jabbed its tail at a little sign next to the glass. Harry peered at it. "Boa constrictor, Brazil." Was it nice there? The boa constrictor jabbed its tail at the sign again, and Harry read on. This specimen was bred in the zoo. "Oh, I see. So you've never been to Brazil." As the snake shook its head, a deafening shout behind Harry made both of them jump. "Dudley! Mr. Dursley! Come look at this snake! You won't believe what it's doing!" Dudley came, waddling toward them as fast as he could. This might be a typo here. Because it must be... Let's see. As the snake shook its head, a deafening shout behind Harry made both of them jump. And then in quotes it says, "Dudley, Mr. Dursley." It should be Dudley who's screaming this, because that's who's making the shout. It's a little weird. Let me see if this is accurate. I don't know if this is... the actual text is supposed to read... Let's go have a look at... I guess we'll do Google Books. It should be on there, right? Harry Potter's Sorcerer's Stone. This is page 17, but I don't think it'll be here. I don't think it'll be here that far. Preview unavailable. Okay, let me see if I can find... what's that other site that has... Oh, I think it's Archive, right? Let's go have a look at Archive. Archive.org. No, I don't want the video games. What the heck? No, there's only limited preview. Okay, what I might have to do, I might have to get a library card for the nearby library, and then just check that way. And that way I can have the actual... No, this one's also a limited preview. Fuck. This makes me angry. I'm not sure if I'll even be able to access... I think it's gonna be, yeah, every single one of these. Let's see, use your free account to borrow this book and gain access to all pages. Okay, let's see if I can find a non-scanned book, or is it on, what's that one library, the Guggenheim library, the Gutenberg Gutenberg.org. Harry Potter. unlucky. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get access to other versions of it than what I have here. Every single one that I'm looking at. All of the everything between, or I guess everything after the table of contents is restricted and limited access. Okay, well, let me go ahead and let me see how to get a library card from my local library. Let's first find the local library name, and then we'll see. Let's see, library near me. This one here, let's go to this website. I imagine that's like maybe $5 or $10 a year or something for a library card. Get library card. Choose some of our online resources. You will need a library card to obtain a card. Bring photo ID and proof of current local address. New card holders will be restricted to 2 items at any one time. I guess I could also, yeah, it would be beneficial to actually, I should have done this months ago, a year ago or something. I first came here, get a library card because I did. I'm following Soap Narwitz on Twitter, and she's recommending some pretty cool, pretty good books that I'm kind of interested in. Your new library card will be issued at the time of application. It doesn't say here that there's any cost, so I guess it's just free. I think I found. Yes, I am gonna get a library card. It's free, right? I'm looking at the website right now. It doesn't say anything about a payment. It just says bring photo ID and proof of current local address. Is there a way to check? Yeah, I would imagine so. Is there a way to check here on the website? Oh, here it goes. Catalog. Wait, what? Payment? Payment for late fees. Oh, you can make donations too. Okay, that's pretty cool. Donating books to promote literacy. Okay, I want to see if they have that one book that's so recommended. Oh yeah, but before I get too distracted, I think I found an error over here. I was reading this. This is the part where Harry is talking to the snakeses, and then it says, as the snake shook its head, a deafening shout behind Harry made both of them jump. And this is the shout. Dudley! Mr. Dursley, come and look at this snake. You won't believe what it's doing. Dudley came waddling toward them as fast as he could. I'm pretty sure Harry hears the deafening shout behind him, and I'm pretty sure that it's Dudley. I don't think it would make sense for Harry to be yelling this, but that's sort of what it's implying based off the way it's written here. Okay, I see. Okay, now the problem I'm thinking of the movie where it's just them, but in this case they have another friend, one of Dudley's friends, so he's the one. But it doesn't say his name here at all, so it makes it seem like Harry is the one who's shouting this. It's his friend Piers. Piers Morgan. It's Piers who's yelling this. Okay. It's just it's so weird. Okay, I found the issue. I have solved the dilemma. Anyway, let me go look at if they have that one book. The book is called But If Harry Hears Behind Him, then it would have been somebody else. Yeah. So in the book, it's the Dursleys, Harry, and then one of Dudley's friends is also invited. His name is Piers Polkiss. So it must be him who's shouting this. But it doesn't say that here at all. It doesn't specify or imply that it's him. Okay, I guess it does imply that it's him by the fact that he's shouting Dudley and Mr. Dursley. But the way it's written here, the way these paragraphs are blocked, it makes it seem as if it's Harry who is shouting it. It's either Harry or Dudley, but we know it's not Dudley because the shouting says, Dudley, Mr. Dursley, come and look at the snake. So it's not Dudley. It's not Mr. Dursley, and it's not Mrs. Dursley. It could either be Harry or Piers, and the way it's written here, the way it's blocked here, it is my first instinct is to assume that it's Harry, but it is not Harry, it is Piers. But it doesn't say Piers here, directly before it, or directly after it. So it makes it seem so weird. My brain just had a bit of an issue trying to compute. Okay, let me go find the title of this book, see if they have it here at this library. Now that I have solved this mystery. Let's see, Soph, and then her books. The book is called Chasing the Sun by Richard Cohen. Title, Chasing the Sun. Ah, there's a different Chasing the Sun. Chasing the Sun by Tracy Peterson, 2012. That is not the one I want. This looks like a fiction book. Let's see, the series title, Thorndike Press, large print. Christian romance. Subject, Texas History Civil War, 1861-1865 fiction. Subject, Christian fiction. Subject, love stories. This looks like a, looking at it, let me see if I can get a picture of a big picture. No, I can't. I'm gonna have to look it up on Google. A picture of the cover makes it look like it's one of those ghost-written Amazon books that sells for like $1 or $2 by Tracy Peterson. Open image. Okay. Here's what the cover looks like. It just looks so generic. Unfortunately, there is no Chasing the Sun by Richard Cohen. Chasing the Sun, Richard Cohen. It's nothing. Okay, let's look for just Richard Cohen. Under author. Oops. Title, The Bad Guys. Publisher, Universal. They don't have my book. They don't have the book I want. Okay, Okay, I can also select... Oh, wait a second. That's just one building. Why is it only one building? Okay, let's look at these other libraries in the area. Okay, add those. And now let's look for Richard Cohen. Search. Okay, there's too many books by Richard Cohen's. Let's go look for the title now. Again, Chasing the Sun by Kagi Warner, by Tracy Peterson. They have 3 versions, 3 different entries for Chasing the Sun by Tracy Peterson. This must be a super good book. I gotta go test it out. And then Chasing the Sun Dictionary Markers by Jonathan Green. They don't have my book! Angie. Unlucky. Well, that's depressing. I'm gonna have to buy a book in 2023. Okay, well, that's a little unfortunate, but it's not a big deal. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to find the book other ways. Okay, let me kill all of these other Harry Potter searches. Let's go ahead and continue with the Sorcerer's Stone. Get rid of this. Okay. So let's go ahead and reread a little bit earlier. Oh wait, there's only one more page. No! We're in the last 2 pages. How long is chapter 3? Starts page 19. Until 28. That's a lot of reading. Okay, I'll finish chapter 2. And then I'll go listen to something to give my voice a break. Cause just going through this chapter, I can feel my throat starting to hurt a little bit. So I gotta practice more, making sure I can reduce the amount of damage I'm doing to my voice, or the amount of pain it causes to do my voice training stuffs. I can ask the librarian to transfer from another library. I guess I'll have to go look at what their options are, but I'll do that later. I know when I worked at the library at the university, there were 3 different campuses, or maybe even like 4 different campuses where you could request it, and then they'll ship it over from the other campus, or even from the New York Public Libraries and other school libraries. But yeah, that's a super cool book that I wanna read for research purposes for something I am writing that is related to Sun mythologies and Sun religious symbolism. Okay, here we go. Last 2 pages of chapter 2. Where do you come from anyway? Harry asked. The snake jabbed its tail at a little sign next to the glass. Harry peered at it. Boa constrictor, Brazil. Was it nice there? The boa constrictor jabbed its tail at the sign again, and Harry read on. This specimen was bred in the zoo. Oh, I see. So you've never been to Brazil? As the snake shook its head, a deafening shout behind Harry made both of them jump. Dudley! Mr. Dursley! come and look at this snake. You won't believe what it's doing. Dudley came waddling toward them as fast as he could. Out of the way, you, he said, punching Harry in the ribs. Caught by surprise, Harry fell hard on the concrete floor. What came next happened so fast, no one saw how it happened. 1 second, Piers and Dudley were leaning right up to the glass. The next, they had leapt back with howls of horror. Harry sat up and gasped. The glass front of the boa constrictor's tank had vanished. The great snake was uncoiling itself rapidly, slithering out onto the floor. People throughout the reptile house screamed and started running for the exits. As the snake slid swiftly past him. That's good alliteration there, I love it. Snake slid swiftly. Very snake-like. It's almost like he can understand snakes. It's almost like he can speak to snakes. Very sneaky and snake-like. As the snake slid swiftly past him, Harry could have sworn in a low, hissing voice said, Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo. Brazil... Okay, do they say amigo in Portuguese? I don't think so. I'm not sure. Is Rowling being racist here? Does she assume that because Brazil is in South America, they speak Spanish? Is that what's happening? Let me go look up. Let's Google Translate amigo in Spanish to Portuguese. Translate. .google.com. Let's type amigo. What? I type in amigo and it auto-detects English? Fucking kill yourself. Let's translate that to Portuguese. Okay, it is. It is amigo.
Amigo.
Okay. I just had to go double check. I just had to make sure. I know a little bit of Portuguese, but I didn't know that they share the same exact word for amigo. I know there are a couple of words that they share between Portuguese and Spanish, but I was not aware that amigo is one of them. As the snake slid swiftly past him, Harry could have sworn a low, hissing voice said, Brazil, here I come. Thanks, amigo. The keeper of the reptile house was in shock. But the glass, he kept saying. Where did the glass go? Glasgow? What the heck, we're in Scotland now? The zoo's director himself made Aunt Petunia a cup of strong, sweet tea while he apologized over and over again. Piers and Dudley could only gibber. As far as Harry had seen, the snake hadn't done anything except snapped playfully at their heels as it passed. But by the time they were all back in Uncle Vernon's car, Dudley was telling them how it had nearly bitten his leg off, while Piers was swearing it had tried to squeeze him to death. But worst of all, for Harry at least, was Piers calming down enough to say, Harry was talking to it, weren't you, Harry? Uncle Vernon waited until Piers was safely out of the house before starting on Harry. Oh my goodness. Uncle Vernon waited until Piers was safely out of the house before starting on Harry. He was so angry he could hardly speak. He managed to say, Go, cupboard, stay, no meals, before he collapsed into a chair, and Aunt Petunia had to run and get him a large brandy. Harry lay in his dark cupboard much later, wishing he had a watch. He didn't know what time it was, and he couldn't be sure the Dursleys were asleep yet. Until they were, he couldn't risk sneaking to the kitchen for some food. He'd lived with the Dursleys almost 10 years. 10 miserable years, as long as he could remember. Ever since he'd been a baby and his parents had died in their car crash. He couldn't remember being in the car when his parents had died. Sometimes, when he strained his memory during the long hours in his cupboard, he came up with a strange vision. A blinding flash of green light and a burning pain on his forehead. This, he supposed, was the crash, though he couldn't imagine where all the green light came from. He couldn't remember his parents at all. His aunt and uncle never spoke about them, and of course he was forbidden to ask questions. There were no photographs of them in the house. When he had been younger, Harry had dreamed and dreamed of some unknown relation coming to take him away. but it had never happened. The Dursleys were his only family. Yet sometimes he thought, or maybe hoped, that strangers in the street seemed to know him. Very strange strangers they were, too. A tiny man in a violet top hat had bowed to him once while out shopping with Aunt Petunia and Dudley. After asking Harry furiously if he knew the man, Aunt Petunia had rushed them out of the shop without buying anything. A wild-looking old woman, dressed all in green, had waved merrily at him once on a bus. A bald man in a very long purple coat had actually shaken his hand in the street the other day, and then walked away without a word. The weirdest thing about all these people was the way they seemed to vanish the second Harry tried to get a closer look. At school, Harry had no one. Everybody knew Dudley's gang hated that odd Harry Potter in his baggy old clothes and broken glasses, and nobody liked to disagree with Dudley's gang. And then Chapter 3, Letters from No One, which we will read later today. Maybe we'll do that as the last thing on today's stream. We'll see if my voice can handle it. Sometimes my voice can't handle it because I use my throat a lot for all sorts of things. Okay, let's see. Let's go have a look at my notes, see what else we can do. I think I'm kind of done with that Andrew Tate video. It's pretty... I get the gist of this woman. This Andrew Tate simp who's... yeah, she's not particularly bright. She's not very... it definitely seems like she's a lazy thinker. I don't think there's much more to say. I'm pretty sure my views on people like her, lazy thinkers, sloppy thinkers, people who rely on other people's thoughts and words and ideas as their conclusions. I'm not particularly fond of them, nor do I think they have much to offer. And I guess it makes sense that much of the people who she argues against are people on TikTok, and we all know TikTok is a great place for philosophical and political discourse of arguments, ideas, and people who are held in very high esteem. I'm quite sure we are all here more than capable of realizing that TikTok is not the place to go for ideas. Nor is Twitch, but there are a few people who are okay. Okay, let's see. We can get rid of this link. We have dealt with that. Ooh, there are some spooky stuffs on my list. There are some politics articles and stuff that I have, but I think I'll do that later. I'll give my voice a chance to recover before I go into some more reading. Let's start with this video. This video ogre here. Oh, it's not even that long.
The father is...
It's only 9 minutes. The title is the Great Spirit and the Evil One, Native American Navajo ways. And I guess I'll restart that mission in Knights and Merchants. Take a little break from Civ.
Is referred to as Nihitha Nihije. Now Nihije means our father. Nihitha can be understood to mean our father, as that is the greatest of all fathers. He is a supreme being. He is the great spirit. There's another being that we call the evil spirit. It means all of a sudden, because of him, came about all the things that can be thought of as evil and as unsacred, as corruption, to all things that is good and that all things that are beautiful. In the traditional teachings of our people, there are a lot of things that we can share with people that are actually available from other tribes. In fact, one of those subjects is the Great Spirit. And the other tribes in that, of course, just like our Dene, they probably have different names for the what they recognize as the Great Spirit. Among our people, we have a Great Spirit. And the way that we come to the understanding of the presence and the existence of this Great Spirit is the two boys that made their journey to their father. And they, of course, had a lot of opposition along the way, and they went there to acquire weapons from him so that they could come back and destroy all of the evil monsters that were killing and destroying all of the Dene, or the five-fingered being. And
the Dene, five-fingered being. Let me go look this up. Sounds like the evil spooky monster. I'm assuming it's D-N-E or D-E-N-E. Dene. Yeah, yep, that's it. The Dene people are an indigenous group of First Nations who inhabit the northern boreal and Arctic regions of Canada. The Dene speak northern Athabascan languages. Dene is the common Athabascan word for people. The term Dene has two usages. More commonly, it is used narrowly to refer to the Athabascan speakers of the Northwest Territories and Nunavut in Canada, especially including the Chippewayan, Licho, Yellowknives, Slavi, and Satu group in the Jeff Lear's classification. Okay, we'll go ahead and finish listening to this guy, and then we'll see what we can find in here that's interesting.
their journey was not easy. It was very difficult. And they met people along the way that were mentors and would help them to accomplish their objective. And so until they made their journey to their father. Now, the father is referred to as Nihitha Nihije. Now, Nihije means our father. Nihitha can be understood to mean our father, that is the greatest of all fathers. Nihitha. So in the prayers of our people, when they're offered today, they say, Nihitha Juna eh. Now, that part of the wording of a prayer, Nihitha Juna eh, a lot of times our people misunderstand that word. The actual word that is being said is Nihitha Jigo not ini. It was the way that it is said in some of the songs and prayers. The one that sees us and watches over us by sunlight, or sometimes they might say, the one that sees us and watches over us by moonlight and by other source of light. And Nikikitntini, which is very important because that is the light of truth. And it is something that comes from Nikije or Nikita. Bishitnbikitntin is sometimes something we say when he recognizes truth. Or Dobitintin is to say that he is not getting the light of truth. And so it's very important to understand in the teachings of our people, our young people especially, that we do not pray to the sun. We pray to the being that is the supreme being that is recognized as the Father, Nikita, or our Maker. And if you want to use the word creator, that's fine. But it is that he is a supreme being. He is the great spirit. And he is the one that is the maker of all things. He is the one that provides us all the goodness in that we have. And so he is the one that we ask to help us to maintain our journey on the beauty way path. He is the one that we make the corn pollen prayer offering to, or the sacred stone offerings to. Or the one that watches us and takes and cares for us and observes us and protects us by the light of the sun. And so that's one being, the one that we call Nihita, and that is the Great Spirit. He is the Father of the holy people. He is the main sacred being. He is the Father of Hashtaya. He is the Father of all of the other 12 that are referred to Hashajawan, and all of the other people that we recognize, the Son of the Yoshke, and all of these other holy people. And then finally, we also have another being that a lot of native people on that, just like our people, the Dene, there's another being that we call the evil spirit. The evil spirit is there. And I don't like to talk about him because a lot of times people want to have a lot of information. They can get all of the information that they need to become a witch or whatever. A person that utilizes the power of influence to do things that are not right or not good. You can get that from other sources, but you can't get it from the Dene. And it is very interesting to listen to the teachings of how this evil influence or evil being came into existence. He was considered a holy person at one time, but he, among the other holy people, he didn't get his way in a lot of the things that he suggested. And so the word
sounds a lot like Satan rebelling against God in heaven.
That is very important to understand the word. That means all of a sudden, because of him, came about all the things that can be thought of as evil and as unsacred, as corruption, to all things that is good, and that all things that are beautiful. And so even today, when we say, which means don't think that way or even begin to think the ways of evil. And then we have one ceremony that I don't attend anymore and I will not attend, and they call it Huchhoja. I don't like the ceremony. And there's even part of the enemy way ceremony. And there's certain portions I don't like at all, and because it's been so corrupted. And I think it's because of the influence of the one Yei that we call Yeishjin. Yeishjin, they sometimes refer to him as the evil one. And when they say Bichindi, and that is very much something that is negative, Bichindi. And so when people really get annoyed by someone or have some real serious bad feelings to someone, they say, which means, may he go and be among the most evil of evil people.
May he go?
Demise. And so that's not a good thing. That is not a good thing. But it is then giving that person to the most evil one, Bichindi. And so the ceremony of some of the portions of the enemy way, Danda, and also Huchhoja, I don't like those ceremonies because they have certain portions of it that kind of point people in that direction. And I think that is wrong. But there is an evil spirit that is talked about very little among the Ne. And we discuss his actions in the Sweat Lodge and some of the ceremony, where because he threw a temper tantrum in the second world. When people would not accept his ways, he set fire to the second world. And so the things that we are told about the evil one, or Yeishjin, is very much important just to be aware of, just to know that there is that evil spirit, that evil force, that evil influence, and to be aware of those things. And those are the things that we are told.
That's pretty cool. Definitely think doing a little bit more research into I guess not only just like creation stories or the like, but also early peoples, pre-industrial could be a good source of I guess less notable tales and ideas. Might be a good way to go. Let me go find the next thingy. Oh, there's this video about the underwater monster. It's a patches. It's a Arby's in the patches. Let's see. I think Stare Bear. Oh, hey, Ad. The cat watches. When did you get in here? Gotta do the hey. Hey. You literally couldn't have come at a better time because I was just thinking about watching that underwater monster video that you linked me. Let's go ahead and do that. Underwater monster.
So what's good?
Should I watch this guy's reaction? Because this is what you linked. And he links the original video. Should I watch the original video? I'll go ahead and I'll trust your judgment. The original video? Okay. Unexplained mysteries.
Despite centuries of exploration and scientific research, much of the world's oceans remain unexplored, and we have only scratched the surface of our understanding of this vast, mysterious realm. It is estimated that we have explored less than 20% of the world's oceans, with much of the remaining 80% still largely uncharted and unknown. This is due in part to the sheer size and depth of the oceans, as well as the challenges involved.
This is this is one of the biggest reasons. I love Soma. It's an awesome game. I love the story, the philosophical quandary, the dread, the existential dread that it lays out for the player. But I always hate that one part when you're in the diving suit and you go all the way down to the bottom of the ocean, and it's so fucking dark. The only light are the jellyfishes, the failing infrastructure lights of Pathos, or I guess Carthage is what it's called, the entire company. But I always hate that part where not only am I underwater, but it's incredibly fucking dark. You can't move quickly. Are these thunderstorms underwater because of the fractures and fissures beneath there with all the pressure, and then the sea floor and everything. It's way too dreadful. I hate it, but it's awesome, and I really hope that at no point in my life will I ever have to do anything underwater. If I can stay on land and I can have full use of my mobility, of my ability to use my arms and legs in the medium for which they were meant to be, then I think I'll be happy if I can live the rest of my life on land. So that's the preface to watching this video and listening to this spooky story. So let's go ahead and get into it.
In studying them. The deep sea, for example, is an especially difficult environment to explore.
Creaky, creepy, rusty old underwater sea labs, slowly filling with waters and nowhere to goes. XO. Yes, exactly. That's literally what haunts my brain every time I think of being underwater or watching movies or playing games that take place underwater. Except, however, I have not yet played the first Bioshock, so I need to do that. And I have been avoiding spoilers this whole entire 50 years, however many years it's been. To me, Bioshock is still a new game that came out like 4 months ago because I don't know anything about it. So hopefully, I can play that soon. I have not played Subnautica, and no, I don't think I want to play it. I know that there's underwater monsters and it's dark there too, so I'm going to try to avoid playing that as much as I can. Thank you very much.
With crushing pressures, extreme temperatures, and complete darkness. In recent years, advances in technology and oceanographic research have enabled scientists to explore previously inaccessible parts of the ocean, such as the deep sea vents, and uncover new species and ecosystems that were previously unknown to us. However, much of the ocean remains unexplored, and there is still much to learn about the role of the ocean in regulating the Earth's climate and supporting life on our planet. It's also true that we have mapped more of the Moon's surface than we have of our own oceans. This is partly due to the fact that the Moon is much closer to Earth than the deep ocean, and is therefore more accessible to exploration and mapping. In contrast, much of the world's oceans remain largely uncharted and unknown, with only a small fraction of the ocean floor having been mapped in detail. This is due in part to the challenges of exploring the deep ocean, which is a hostile and difficult environment to study. Interestingly, in recent years, divers and fishermen have come forward and detailed their strange experiences while being in and around the world's oceans. One diver posted the following story to social media. He said the following: "I worked with a guy who used to be a deep-sea welder. He also worked on various things in the ocean, such as rigs, which would require him to dive deep beneath the ocean. He got talking one day as we shared a lot of things in common, and he told me about some of the strange things that we witnessed while carrying out jobs in the ocean. Due to the years of experience that he had, he told me that he could easily identify wildlife and said that he would often encounter things like deep-sea fish, sharks, along with various squid species.
Sharks?
He said that saturation diving pays well, but it's a job that carries its risks, and that this encounter made him think twice about re-entering the water. He said that on this one occasion, he and a team was called out to a big job, which saw him and the team assembling and maintaining an oil rig and pipelines. While he was down there, each of the team had their positions. He detailed that the visibility wasn't great, and that it was overall a difficult job to carry out. He said that on day 5 he got into position and started working, but after about 20 minutes he kept on feeling something heavy touch his back. At first he thought it
It's a
might have
spooky
been another team
monster!
member, but when he turned around, there was no one there. His second thought was that it could have been a school of fish, going on to say that these underwater structures are
What? Fish don't go to school, dummy.
somewhat of an attractor for smaller species, as they act like protection for them. When it happened, he said that a few minutes later, he was able to get a glimpse of this thing, and said the only way he could describe it was that it looked like some type of squid. He detailed that the organism put him into a sort of trance, saying that it did this by changing shape and colour. He said that he had never experienced anything like it before, as he was still awake and knew what was going on, but noted that he couldn't move. The reason that he said the organism was like a squid is
It's gonna use his tentacles. That's why he's paralyzed. The squid touched his G-spot. He's just so, his mind went blank because his G-spot was being activated by the squid's tentacles.
is because this is the only animal that he was aware of that had this type of ability. Although he did say that
No, Best Girl's she's not a squid, she's a puppy. She just happens to like the tentacles.
He'd never encountered anything that looked like this creature. He said that he's never got over the fact that this creature was able to paralyze him without touching him. When I asked whether anyone else had seen all of this unfold, he told me that he was behind a large piece of equipment that obstructed his view, saying that all of the other members of the diving team were working on areas of the rig that were out of view, so although a team was within the area, none of them could see each other. He also said that these structures are massive, and even if they were working close together, the visibility in the region that they were in wasn't great. He continued saying that once the creature approached him, getting within around 10 feet, he said that it slowed down its coloration and stopped moving its body into different shapes, and once it did this, he then started to regain movements in his arms and legs. After the creatures swam off, he said that he had an incredibly painful headache and felt very dizzy. On the day of the encounter, he said that everything was fine before he entered the water. He didn't complain of having a headache, he didn't have a drink or anything in his system that would compromise him, so he was sure about what he had witnessed. When I questioned him on the size of the creature, he said that it was difficult to say, and the only thing he remembered about its size was that it was much bigger than him. He was certain that it wasn't a common squid species that he had encountered before, saying that normally the areas where he worked had much smaller squid.
It's not traditional fire. It's not a traditional squid.
And that they couldn't do what this creature did. He said he tried to research what this thing was, but every time he did, he came up empty, being unable to find a squid or creature that matched what he encountered. At the time, he said that I was
Maybe it wasn't a squid. Maybe it was a kid. Is it a kid or a squid?
The only person he told the story to, and that he didn't want anyone knowing about it. He did admit that he was scared to go back into the water, as this organism possessed the ability to control him, and it's something that really surprised him, as he'd never had this.
It can control. Okay, I get it. So he was paralyzed by the squid's tentacles, and then it was able to control him. So it's literally because the squid's tentacles were controlling him by going into his G-spot. That's what paralyzed him initially, and then it went beyond the G-spot and used him like a puppet. I am the master of the puppets.
This happened to him before. Even though the encounter only lasted a minute or so, it was something that he didn't want to relive. He said that the headache lasted.
Oh, he's afraid of being gay. He's afraid of the G-spot being activated.
About a week, and it was easily the worst headache he'd ever had before. After this experience, he said that he never encountered the creature again, and that as of today, he has no idea what it was that he encountered. End quote. Interestingly, this diver isn't the first person to come forward and say that they encountered a mysterious creature while diving in the ocean, and it's led some to suggest that there's undiscovered species that people are encountering that are not yet known to science. Oddly enough, just recently, scientists came forward and proposed that octopuses might be aliens or originated from space. The idea that octopuses might have originated from space is based on the fact that they are highly intelligent and exhibit some unique traits that are not seen in other animals on Earth.
Yeah, I believe that. I'm pretty sure that squidses and octopuses are space aliens. I can totally believe it, because a lot of space aliens they are known for having tentacles and multiple appendages, much more than we do. So this is a very... I think here's where we want this. No, we want it one lower. I think it is a very well-known characteristic of aliens that they have very many appendages. Some aliens, in particular, the kind that I am interested in, they're blue. They are very well endowed. They have one pretty large appendage that's kind of nice. It's like kind of like an antenna. It draws you in. I think they're in this one game called Mass Effect.
For example, octopuses have a complex nervous system and can change color and texture to camouflage themselves in their environment. Additionally, their genetic makeup is quite different from other animals, leading some to speculate that they might have evolved independently from a different ancestor than other animals on Earth. Another thing to keep in mind is that animals
Yeah, I want to be able to, once I get enough monies and stuff, and get my tools built up, my workshop for 3D printing. And I put it too low. No, it was the correct spot before. Wait, was it? Oh no, it is the correct spot. Okay, I'm just being retarded. But yeah, well, once I get my my tools and my workshop and start learning and get comfortable with 3D printing and the foam and other crafts, I want to do my my Mass Effect spooky alien with that one really big appendage cosplay, the one who's kind of blue or purpley. So that's definitely something I am looking forward to, and I'm pretty sure other people are looking forward to that cosplay as well.
Belonging to the group Cephalopoda, can grow to extreme sizes.
Yes, Liara, that
The
one.
largest squid species in the world is the giant squid, which is also one of the largest invertebrates in the world. Giant squids can grow up to 43 feet, or 13 meters in length, and can weigh up to 600...
What? 43 feet? That's pretty hot. Imagine a hot alien bitch with 43 feet. Oh my god.
pounds, or 272 kilograms. Giant squids have a mantle body that can reach lengths of up to 8 feet or 2.5 meters, and 2 long feeding tentacles that can reach lengths of up to 30 feet. They have 8 arms that are lined
30
with suction
feet?
cups and are used for grabbing prey.
Suction?
And bringing it to their beak-like mouth. Despite their large size, not much is known about the behavior and biology of giant squids, as they live in the deep ocean and are rarely encountered by humans. The first footage of a live giant squid in its natural habitat was captured in 2012 by a team of Japanese scientists using a specialized underwater camera. Since then, several more sightings and captures of giant squids have been reported, providing new insights into their biology and behavior. Scientists are constantly discovering new species in the world's oceans, but it is difficult to estimate the exact number of new oceanic species that are discovered each year. This is partly due to the fact that many parts of the ocean remain unexplored, and new species are often discovered during research expeditions and surveys. According to the World Register of Marine Species, which maintains a database of all known marine species, an average of around 2,000 new marine species are described and named each year. However, this number can vary widely from year
Whoa, so there's aliens and then there's marines? What is this, StarCraft?
to year, depending on factors such as the level of research funding and the number of expeditions and surveys that are conducted. It is important to note that the discovery of new species is just the first step in understanding the biodiversity of the oceans, and much more research is needed to understand the ecological roles of these species and how they interact with each other and with their environment. Additionally, many oceanic species remain undiscovered or poorly studied, highlighting the need for continued research and conservation efforts to protect these vital ecosystems. Scientists have come forward and said that the oceans are difficult to map for a number of reasons. The average depth of the ocean is around 3,800 meters, or 12,000 feet, and the deepest parts of the ocean can reach depths of over...
Whoa, 12,000 feet! Oh my goodness, literally gonna nut on the spot.
11,000 meters, or 36,000 feet. This makes it difficult to explore and map the ocean
36,000
floor
feet?
using traditional methods, as the water
How many feet can a woman have? What the heck?
pressure at such depths is immense and can damage or destroy equipment. The ocean covers over 70% of the Earth's surface, making it a vast and complex